Pizza time.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is RJ, your fellow Marvel Maniac, and today is Friday, August 5th, 2022. Hope everyone's having a great start to their weekend. It is lovely Friday. Should be an interesting conversation today. We're going to be talking about the aftermath of the Warner Brothers Discovery earnings call. We're going to be talking about DC's supposed 10-year plan. We're going to talk about this new rap article that just broke. There's a lot going on. A lot of stuff is going on. Some of it doesn't make a lot of sense. Some of it's just kind of confusing. Everything's kind of crazy right now. Nothing makes sense. Cats and dogs living together. Hell on earth. Mass hysteria, But we're going to try and add some clarity to this because I feel like we got to kind of set the standard a little bit because I feel like some things are kind of all over the place. I think there's a lot of hyperbole getting thrown around lately. I think there's a lot of doom and gloom. I think there's a lot of panicking, and I think this panicking situation is a little over the top. Personally, it's my personal opinion. That's okay though. But let's get into it. I'll look at the chat real quick. Keely Chow's here. Hello, Keely Chow. Patrick's here. Donovan's here. Hans is here. Yeah, Max is not hosting this. It's me. CJH is here. You. Little movie perp. We'll be talking about that for sure. That's a topic of conversation. M Wamba 85DT. Hello. Sweet and Tender Hooligan saying, "Hey RJ, what do you think of the current state of Amico? Should Max get his refund back?" The Amico's dead. It's a joke. I think that it was a complete lie and a scam. I think people should get their money back, but they probably won't, which is sad. Max is here, saying I'm at work. Work sucks, but Dancing with Ghosts new track is amazing. Get on the stream, Max. You have no excuse. You work from home, don't you? Just get on the stream. I'm just kidding. Kidding. All right, so let's get into this, starting with kind of going over the Warner Brothers Discovery earnings call. I was going to do a live stream yesterday, but I got super sick to my stomach. I woke up, but it was a mess. I was puking and stuff. It was not a good time. Not a good time yesterday, but instead I decided to lay in bed and do a Twitter space. That Twitter space had over 1,200 plus people listening in. People from the video game industry were listening in. It's like one of the Warner Brothers heads of the gaming division was listening in. Had a lot of journalists were listening in. Freaking at the end of it, I think in total we had about 6,000, 7,000 people who watched it and participated, which is crazy. Amazing to have 7,000 people on a space. That's crazy to me. I've never had anything like that. Well, just get fired. YouTube's your job anyway. Hey, if you come, Ag. Who's Ag? Ag. But yeah, that Twitter space, we had a great time. We had a great conversation listening into that call. So we kind of went over a couple things, just rated a couple points here. It was interesting seeing them really emphasize a couple things like quality over quantity, really emphasizing their streaming plans. Obviously, if you missed it, HBO Max and Discovery Plus are going to be merged into one service. That service will launch next summer, 2023. So I think that kind of is probably the biggest headline outside of the DC thing. So we'll talk about that really quick first. Merging HBO Max and Discovery Plus, we're going to have to at least see how that goes. I think it's a little concerning. I mean, there's a lot of stuff getting removed from the service, and we don't know what's going on with that. There's a lot of Max originals that could get canceled. I don't know. But this Walter Hamada situation is really interesting. We're going to dive into that too. I can't really live stream Twitter Spaces though. It's kind of almost impossible to do. If they had a web version to where I could do both simultaneously, that'd be different. But I don't think that's possible. So, Tales from the Hood TV. This is what Warner's needed: someone with some balls. Kinda, yeah. I'll just be frank here. I understand. Like, listen, when it comes to the Batgirl situation, I said this time and time again. I feel horrible for all people involved. It wasn't right, and it sucks, especially from that creative level. It absolutely sucks, and my heart goes out to all the people involved. But I will say this: it's not. It wasn't a good thing to do in regards to what's morally correct and what should have happened. It probably shouldn't have went down the way it did. But we know David Zaslav loves the quote, "It's not show friends, it's show business." And he made a decision that was necessary because, as he put it, he wants to protect the DC brand. And let's really dive into that for a second, because I think it gets overlooked a lot. When he talks about defending and protecting the DC brand, let's really evaluate that for a second. How much, as DC fans, have we suffered, if you really think about it? How diluted and how damaged has the DC brand become? Because it's at this point, it's almost damaged goods, right? We're at a point now where when people see the DC logo, there is no sense of confidence. There's no sense of dignity. There's no sense of purpose. There's no sense of anything really. It's kind of seen as a laughing stock. So when we talk about protecting the DC brand, I think what that really means is they can no longer afford to release crappy half-ass products. They can no longer afford to release these shitty movies anymore. Because let's face it, they are like one really bad movie away from really just like kapooting the whole thing. They're a couple bad movies away, really. And I can understand from the perspective of if they're really invested in protecting the DC brand, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. It doesn't make it right what happened. It's not right. But I'm going to hold them to their word about protecting the DC brand and trying to build it back up to prominence, right? Because DC at this point is seen as second rate. It's seen as a joke. It's not taken seriously. It's not regarded as a shining testament to what it could be. Again, it's seen as a joke, and that can't fly anymore. The brand needs to be built up again, and it needs to be protected from that dilution. So when we talk about what Zaslav is doing, I think a lot of what he says sounds good. I think it all comes down to execution. The execution is going to be what's really important. Will they execute this correctly? None of us know. It's going to take time, or at least about two years maybe from this plan really getting into fruition. But we shall see, right? So again, I think that protecting the DC brand comment should not be overlooked, because let's face it, that's what we need to be hearing right now as DC fans, that we have someone looking out for the brand and wanting to protect it, to uphold the high bar of standards that it should reach. Because let's face it, DC has not been operating at the level it should be for a long time, right? So that protect comment really is important. It's really, really, really important. The other thing I want to take note of is when he talked about the reset, and we'll kind of get into that when I bring up this article right now, talking about this 10-year plan, which again sounds great. It's just going to come down to execution as always, right? But see, I just don't agree, figure drawing. I don't see how worse this could get, to be honest with you. I don't see how the brand could be run into the ground any more than it already has. The brand is considered a joke. The brand has not recovered fully since 2017's Justice League. It never got over that. The brand has been damaged goods. It has been. The brand has not been up to snuff. The brand of DC, the empire that is DC Films, DC Comics, has not been on the level it should be for like the last 5 to 6 years, really, right? So again, that's kind of what we're talking about here. And so I know this guy and I have completely different thoughts on this, so we'll bring him in so we can get into a yelling match. I'm just kidding. Hi, Matt. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, man? Glad I could make it. Usually I'm unable to. when you go live
Yeah,
with this
no,
done.
I'm glad you're here because you and I have like completely different thoughts in this entire situation. And
Yes.
I was listening to your stream last night in complete frustration because I feel like I understand your perspective from like the creative point of view, but I'm looking more towards a more optimistic outlook. So I feel like it's where we're kind of like diving off a little bit. It's like we're like on different paths sort of with this whole thing, you know? But I know you're very vocal about all of this, but I'm kind of looking at this from I think there's a couple things he said that were really key, especially that protecting the DC brand comment that I think should not be overlooked. I think that actually is a critical moment because I feel like those in charge have not actually been doing a good job protecting the DC brand and upholding to the standards it needs to be reaching. Because let's face it, DC has been seen as second rate. It's been seen as kind of like it's not a logo or a brand that instills confidence or loyalty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but just in general, DC has always been second class citizen to Marvel. Like in
Mm-hmm.
just regards to storytelling, characters, things like that. I mean, because my take on it, and I know people out there are going to vehemently disagree with me, and that's okay. Is that like again, I've always felt the character of Superman, how they've made him OP, how they've really like the character. I found the character to be boring. I like Batman a lot. And I like other characters that are more like grounded human level. Even with Marvel, I'm not a big fan of the more cosmic side of things because it's just like I prefer like Daredevil, Spider-Man, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at DC, it's like, they've always been like they were leading the pack in the 90s. Any way you want to slice it. I mean, we had almost 4 Batman movies in the 90s. From 89 to 97, right? And then they still couldn't even bust out a Superman movie. They were going to start shooting that Tim Burton movie, and then they scrapped it weeks to go before filming, which, let's be fair, is probably for the best based upon what we've seen coming out of that. But like when he says he wants to protect the DC brand, but yet keeps Ezra Miller in the position that Ezra Miller is in, I think that's a bit hypocritical. I think what they're trying to do, if you want my honest opinion, is they're setting up Black Adam, Shazam, and Aquaman and the Flash to fail in order to then have the justification to do a complete reboot and start over again.
But see that well, real quick, I'll read this real quick. CJH, should DC license out these characters with Disney? Absolutely not. No. Do you not need to cross over with Disney? What I will say though, and hi William, what I will say though, I disagree with that point only a little bit because he said that we've seen Black Adam, we've seen Flash, we think they're terrific, and we think we can make them even better.
Sure.
If anything, I think he wants to retool those movies or kind of twist them around a little bit to fit the parameters of what he envisions for what they want to do.
Maybe.
And I think the Flash is going to operate as the perfect justification to reset what they need to and get things moved into place for where they want to go next. I don't think Ezra Miller stayed. I think he's gone after this movie. But they need to keep him in there because they just have to. They've already spent the money. They're not going to spend any more on it in regards to replacing an entire actor who's the main lead playing 2 characters. It's testing well. The people who've seen the movie say they loved Ezra's performance. I think it's the best he's ever done in any movie ever. So they got to keep it. They're going to keep it because they got no other choice. But it doesn't mean I don't think they really stand by him or are looking to like uphold him or uphold his actions.
Well, I think you need to look at what Zaslav actually, what he was properly referring to yesterday. Earnings calls are not about setting negative things, right? And remember, the whole DC conversation didn't even come up until an investor asked about it. So it wasn't part of their overall presentation. And then he's like, yeah, I've seen Black Adam, Shazam. I've seen these movies and they're great. We can make them even better without going into what that even means. Because Shazam is already shot and finished. Aquaman's going through reshoots right now with a brief cameo by Affleck, which everyone thinks is a return. The Flash hasn't even done reshoots yet, so we have no idea what's going on with that. And Black Adam is done. So how can they make him any better unless they're adding things like cameos? But at the same time, Warner Brothers Discovery stock today dipped 17%. Whatever they talked about yesterday failed to wow people.
That was expected, though.
Well, I think it wasn't a shock, but at the same time, it's like
it was actually expected to be 22% drop, but it was only 17%. So
that's still, it's like you've got the most storied brands, And
but
you
you could
know,
have the most storied brands. If you're going, whenever you go through transition like this, and this is like I said before, as positive an outlook I have for what's coming next, you can't undo the last 9 years of disorganization. And right now, what stockholders like is certainty. And you can't, I don't care what circumstance Brazazov it was going to give you yesterday, there's no way you could guarantee certainty in a time of uncertainty. And so your stocks, your prices are going to reflect that, and they expected that. And it's probably going to be a little bit while before they rebound. What's going to help them is producing stuff, and that's what we have to be patient about. Is all the conversations in the world and all the management shifts in the world don't mean anything until they start producing content, and we can actually have something to judge it by. But unfortunately, the past since 2013, all you've really had is a mixed bag as far as leadership goes. The most firm thing that I heard from him yesterday, regardless of whether you agree with what Zaslav has said and what he's done, I've watched this management the last 9 years. There was nothing like that coming out of their mouths in the time that they were in charge.
Well, there's been, again, like, they've gone through very tumultuous times over the course of the past 9 years as well. 3 different mergers, different owners, different visions. Zaslav, in you know, I guess I could say to his detriment or credit, not his fault ultimately, he was saddled with what the last company wanted to do, what they wanted Keelar to do with Project Popcorn and everything else, to streamline HBO Max in order to bolster AT&T subscriptions. That was the whole point. You know, John Stankey and everyone over at AT&T wanted HBO Max to be the bedrock for their telecommunications business.
Yeah, that's why they purchased it.
That's why they exactly. That's why they did it. And then then when it failed to materialize in the way that they wanted, and I would say the pandemic was a big part of that. Keelar made some tough choices, but I think he ultimately made the right choices, allowing these movies to still come out, to turn some bit of money and to keep the pipeline flowing, because he understands the content need to have all these things come out. Zaslav, on the other hand, is looking at this from the perspective of, how do I bolster Discovery, because that's his bread and butter, that's his legacy, and that's what he wants. So
that's where I disagree, man. I think his legacy is what happens with this merger. His legacy, if he had never acquired Warner Brothers Discovery, I would agree with you 100%. But this merger is his legacy. It's not just Discovery. It's what results.
But he literally got this thing for a deal. They worked it out as they wanted to offload it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so we can't really sit there and say, like, it was like a 2-hour conversation between him and Stanky, and then, like, yeah, okay, I'll take it on, sort of thing, with AT&T still retaining 70% control.
They don't have any control. There's no more AT&T control. They're done. They're done.
No, well, don't they still have 70% of the stock?
No, remember we had this conversation before where what ended up happening with the merger is that the stockholders that approved it as a new company, as Warner Brothers Discovery stockholders, got shares.
Oh, okay. I was wrong. I was wrong on that. You're right. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, AT&T to get rid of liability. But yeah, regardless of how, it could have came on in a golf conversation, and it could have been just an accident that we even have this. But it did happen. And now that it's here, I think he's not going to be judged on Discovery from this point on. I mean, I think he's going to be judged on, because there's a lot of weight that he's just taken on. I mean, DC, just to hear him talk about the importance of the DC IP, and I haven't heard any of the previous managers talk about it in that way. He may skip up, he may trip up, and he may make mistakes. But the fact that the priority is being put on the focus, I think better things can happen when the priority is put where it should be than it is with the previous guys just literally throwing pencils up at the ceiling, hoping one of them stick.
Sure, but
yeah.
Well,
I wanted to read this quote real quick too, just so we can have like the context. So the quote was, this is what he was asked about the DC question. This was his answer. You look at Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. These are brands that are known everywhere in the world. As I said during earnings call Thursday, we have done a reset. We've restructured the business where we are going to focus, where there's going to be a team with a 10-year plan focusing just on DC. We believe that we can build a much more sustainable business. It's very similar to the structure Alan Horn, Bob Iger, and Kevin Feige put together very effectively at Disney. We think we can build a much stronger, sustainable growth business out of DC. A part of that is that we're going to focus on quality. We are not going to release any film before it's ready. DC is something we can make better.
I love everything about that quote. And the most important thing for us fans and the word I'm going to use over and over, no matter where I pop up, is patience. We did not get here overnight. And so what writes it is not going to happen overnight. So I'm stressing patience. And, the last regime had 9 years to basically skip around in the dark. Let's give this one a shot. And he seems to have a plan in place. Bringing in Alan Horn does help. It helps with credibility. It helps with a vision, because like I was telling you before, Feige, whatever ingenious you want to put on Feige, and that's great. I'm not taking anything from Kevin Feige, but without the backing of the people behind him, a lot of this stuff couldn't happen. He was given time to fulfill what he set out to do. And that's been the biggest problem with the prior DC management, is that visionaries and people that they put in their position, they would hire them and then they wouldn't back them. Now, you can say whatever you want about Zack Snyder and any other people that they put in place. The time to second guess someone is when you have them in your interview office, and when you're laying out your vision, deciding if you want to hire this person. Once you set them in motion, you hurt your credibility by pulling the rug from under them. Kevin Feige's never had that. The people who hired Kevin Feige didn't just hire him, they backed him. And that's really important. I think
they
that's
also, well, to be fair, I mean, I think, again, that's a little bit of a loaded statement, because if you go back and look at it, he was brought in to oversee Marvel Studios underneath Marvel, the company run by Perlmutter, who's a notorious spendthrift who didn't really back him. Didn't. I mean, it wasn't until he got to Disney and he came with the merger, with that buyout back in 2010, and then they allowed him to keep doing it, and that built up from there. And then when they realized he is a talent worth backing, at the time in 2015, when he fought Perlmutter over Robert Downey Jr. in Civil War, that's when Iger came out and said, "You answer to me and Alan Horn. Fuck Perlmutter."
That's backing though. That's backing.
But that took 5 years to get there, though. It took, I think, I'm just trying to.
I think they're willing to take the time, though, because he said too, we're not going to release a movie just to meet quarterly goals. We're not going to release a movie every quarter.
That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. They're going to. They're like, here's the thing, because here's the. I mean,
no. What honestly, I'm saying though is that they're not going to mind delaying films or like having like more spaced out releases if it means quality over quantity.
Then I would say The Flash is going to get dropped to maybe 2024. At that point,
you could be right. You could
move it away. You have to move it away from Ezra Miller. You have to.
They could. They could. I mean, listen, there's still rumors about these delays, and they could delay them to give them the best chance of success.
I mean, the best chance of success is, get Ezra in rehab and allow the program to happen. That's about it. Like this, I'm just saying, it's like, you cannot. I understand that there's a lot of murkiness surrounding the Ezra Miller accusations. All right. I get all that. Like, there are liars, but that information has not come out in any kind of massive way. And I'm sorry, YouTubers talking about that is not major journalism, unless you can get,
we have the Flash right here.
So we
Say
have
about you, fat girl.
Oh Lord.
Oh
I
Lord.
think it's about to go south real quick.
I'm saying that stuff is not 100% confirmed, and I guess you could say either end, but I trust vetted sources versus anything else at this point. When it comes to
I'm going to read this real quick. Anthony left for $2. What if Jeff Robinoff never left WB? They'd probably be in a much better state if they never left. So I think they'd be in a much better place if Jeff Robinoff never got ousted.
Same with Alan Horn.
Yeah, that's what I mean by having the leadership behind the leadership. You just have to have a respected structure that works from top to bottom.
But that's the thing people are missing too. People are all like, why is DC trying to copy Marvel again? They're not copying Marvel in terms of tone or story. What they're doing is they're like, the structure and the organization of their studio is what we need to get this off the ground. Copying a proven success in terms of structure and corporate organizations is not the same as copying Marvel in regards to story or tone. That's a very big distinction. Everyone's wanted DC to have the structure and organization on the corporate level that Marvel has. So I don't understand how this can be viewed as like a bad thing.
Sorry, I called Jarbo fat. You're thick.
I'm thick where it counts.
Damn right.
In my booty.
Yeah, Jesus.
What? I'm just
I don't
saying.
believe this is a real Flash, by the way. The voice is off.
I'm Ezra Miller. Mind your business.
I don't know who knows who Ezra Miller is pretending to be today. We have no idea.
Wow.
He's been out of the news for a very long time.
He was back. They're back yesterday. Business Insider.
Those articles were just literally regurgitated mix of all the articles that came out.
Yeah, no new news. No, nothing.
No,
new.
actually, no. The Icelandic cult stuff that was new. And they did recap everything else.
Well,
I skipped
again, I want to hear what happened with that court thing in July. That's what I want to hear.
Well,
about.
that's what I'm waiting to hear from. I know. We keep
been
waiting.
almost
If nothing has happened, where's Ezra to say anything about Ezra's innocence?
Well, they probably told him to
nobody.
shut up.
To be honest with you, and I know you disagree with this, Matt, but a year from now, nobody's. If nothing happened, now if he goes full on Richard Ramirez and body starts showing up or something like that, and it escalates, different situation. But as it stands now, and nothing escalates, we're a society that wants to get past things. We had COVID killing people. We were ready to get past that. Ukraine was on everybody's Facebook page. We got past that. We're a society that moves on to the next thing immediately. So a year from now, I'm sorry if not. Like I said, unless he goes full OJ and then the white Bronco going down, the freeway, I don't think this is going to have the impact that a lot of people think. And I think they've taken the right strategy about just not saying anything about it.
Well, I think, right now they definitely can't release it and they're not going to promote it, which is why I think they'll move it back. Again, if Ezra's done good in the movie, and I'm sure Ezra has done fine in the film, I want to see their performance.
The people in the test audiences have said it's their best performance.
It's testing high from what I read as well.
Very high, like abnormally high for a movie like this. So
did they fill it with Ezra Miller fans? Is that what happened?
Sorry, I'm at work, so I have to meet once in a while when people come in. But I did hear what you said. Now, as far as the July 12th thing, yeah, it happened. And from what I've heard, and before anyone says, "Oh, you heard something, you can't confirm it," that's true. But I heard that it actually went well for Ezra's side of the argument, and that is kind of corroborated with the fact that the people who filed that claim, which was Chase Ionize and his wife, they've been very vocal still on Twitter, but not a single mention of any victory for that trial. Because if they did win that trial, they would have been on Twitter like, "Thank you guys so much for all the support and blah 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 blah." And they're not. They're still on there slandering Ezra Miller. So they definitely, like, I'm pretty sure that Ezra might have probably beat that July 12th trial because nothing has been said about it.
Wasn't that was just for getting a protective order, right?
That was a protective order, but also I believe they were also trying to get Takata back. Right,
okay. And look, I'll tell you this: it's like Takata's 18; she can do what she wants,
Right.
Like,
but I mean, the thing, like, because me and you had our back and forth on Twitter about it, but like, I get what you're saying, the behavior as far as what happened in Hawaii, but again, there was like a lot of stuff. Like, if you go back and watch some of the body cam footage, you see the people that Ezra got into it with. One of them literally was like, "You need to light him up," like basically telling the cops you need to shoot him and stuff, and that if you don't light him up, well, I'm gonna light him up. So like, clearly something more happened in Hawaii, which resulted in the I guess assault that everyone keeps talking about. There was fights. It wasn't assault. There was fighting that happened in Hawaii. It wasn't a one-sided fight either. It's not like Ezra was out there just chucking chairs at people and just throwing down with people. There was fights that happened, but it wasn't assault.
But I think we can at least agree that there was several documented instances of highly erratic behavior that did result in the need for a legal intervention.
I mean, what I saw as far as erratic is after one altercation happened that had body cam footage. Yes, Ezra was acting a little like uncooperative with the law enforcement, which is why they got arrested for disorderly conduct and not actual assault. But at the end of the day, like, I think there's a lot more going on where I still think it's not fair that people are just crucifying Ezra Miller, considering the fact that, like, we don't know 100% without certainty that these accusations hold any merits to be like they're guilty of stuff. Because you see people on Twitter, they're guilty, they need to be fired, they need to be arrested. I'm like, arrested for what? What legit crime have they committed that has been proven to be a crime and they need to get locked up for? So I mean, I understand why people are a little upset with WB, because like, if you like, the same reason why people were a little skeptical of having Robert Downey Jr. play Iron Man. Like, Robert Downey Jr. was going down that path as well. Robert literally got in bed with a strange child because they were on drugs and alcohol.
Well,
and when
he
they
was
were
in
casted,
a jumpsuit.
right?
He was actually behind bars, so big difference.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. And when he was casted as Iron Man, people were like, "Whoa!" But it's like, You know, that was
No,
a more
there wasn't much of a backlash in I think '06 when it was announced. There was like a lot of, because you got to remember all the shit with Downey Jr. had happened years prior.
But Robert still there was still a fair amount
There
of
was a
people that were a
stigma,
little.
sure. There was definitely but it wasn't like, hey, last month he did this thing. This was like the end of the '90s. You know, he had
Right.
gone through, because remember at one point, like what was it? Mel Gibson paid the insurance fee to cover Robert Downey Jr. I think on the Shaggy Dog that
It was a
Disney
Shaggy Dog. Yep.
right, in order to
Right.
get Downey, and only in order to get him work. You know, so Ezra's nowhere near that point yet, but it's still at the same time. Public faith in Ezra, I think, has been somewhat eroded because of this.
Okay,
And
well,
Oh yeah.
where we're talking YouTube and Twitter.
no,
William,
it's gone beyond that. It's gone beyond that, man. It's
William
way
definitely
beyond that
has.
now.
Yeah, William, like the news outlets, the media, like everyone, like it's it's really a big deal when like YouTubers who have no interest in movie talk and stuff are talking about it. Like it's become very big. And like, granted, you're right, William, but at the same time, the public opinion right now is not in Ezra's favor, and it's about turning that around because a lot of people.
Is it enough to affect anything? The general audience is the dominant factor here. Does the general audience care about this to the point where it affects?
Well,
the general audience doesn't care about the Flash, though. Right.
But here's the thing also too, Matt, is that, and not to cut across you because I don't have too much time, but I will say this, like WB is clearly standing by Ezra Miller right now because they haven't denounced Ezra Miller. They're still moving forward with the Flash as it stands with Ezra as the head actor, and it does appear that they are standing with Ezra Miller. Now, why that is because I've talked about this before, and it's public that there is somebody who claims that they will make a statement in September. Either Ezra's team or WBD, whatever the hell they are now, will make an official statement involving this situation. I think why they haven't is because there's so much of a mess with this situation, and so many people who are, as far as the recent accusations, are lying about what happened. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some kind of lawsuit going on with these people who are lying, and a couple of news outlets that are going to be in trouble for spreading the lies. So I think that's why they are waiting for a certain time where the lawyers can handle it, and then they're going to make an announcement, a statement in regards to it.
Well, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
I mean, generally speaking,
if that happens, then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but at this point, it's been months of the reported accusations, and hold on, I have to go take care of my daughter, but I'll be back in a hot second.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like I get that, but at the end of the day, none of the people who have accused Ezra has come with any like solid evidence or any evidence whatsoever. A lot of the accusations that they tried to put in evidence was already debunked. The whole accusation about Ezra Miller slamming that mother's arm in the door repeatedly and pulling a knife on them, that was debunked when when somebody grabbed the police report from that incident and posted it. No mention of a knife, no mention of multiple damage, multiple hitting with the door. It was one time and it was an accident. The cops ruled it out as an accident. But no, the internet and the media ignores these things because they just want Ezra Miller out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that whole Ezra thing is a whole other thing. I mean, we can talk about that for like forever. But I want to jump into this Walter Hamada thing that just broke this morning. A couple articles.
Oh yeah.
One is the Hollywood Reporter one, and then there's the Rap article, which we'll get into. So, DC Films' Walter Hamada is on the brink of exit after Batgirl cancellation. The executive has agreed to remain in his post at least until the October 21st release of the Dwayne Johnson film Black Adam. Amid the shelving of the HBO Max film Batgirl and the clear desire of Warner Brothers Discovery chief David Zaslav to find new leadership for the DC universe, DC Films president Walter Hamada has come to the verge of exiting the studio and has consulted with counsel, sources tell the Hollywood Reporter. Hamada has now agreed to remain in his post at least until the October 21st release of the Dwayne Johnson film Black Adam, according to sources with knowledge of the situation. He's pausing, says a source. The decision has not been made to make this adversarial yet. Hamada could not be reached out for comment. The tension comes as Zaslav has vowed to do what he has called a reset with respect to DC. With a 10-year plan, he hopes will allow the brand to compete with Disney and Marvel Studios, which is both the biggest film franchise in history. We think we can build a much stronger, sustainable growth business out of DC, Zaslav said during Thursday's earnings call. As part of that, we are going to focus on quality. We are not going to release any film before it's ready. DC is something we can make better. An insider says Warner Brothers Picture Group chairpersons and CEOs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdy, who are overseeing DC until Zaz settles on new leadership. That is fascinating. So DeLuca and Abdy are in charge of DC right now until Zaslav finds new leadership. That is interesting. That they're the ones overseeing things right now, not Hamada. So basically, Hamada holds no power right now. Essentially, is what this looks like to me.
Be no surprise to anybody.
I mean, is that a fair assessment to make that he holds no power right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure all on the same page. Okay. So
well, it's just kind of like it. Yeah, he's still over. I think he's still there, but he doesn't have any.
He holds no power.
Like, he holds no green lighting power. Yeah. I'm sure it's still, like anyway, the day-to-day operations sort of thing, more or less. Because otherwise they wouldn't have cared if he was like, well, I'm going to quit over this Batgirl thing.
And they would have noticed. He would have been part of that decision making if he wasn't.
Right. So Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdy informed Hamada at a recent Black Adam test screening that Batgirl, a $90 million film that was in post-production, would be shelved. The explanation was that given Zaslav's strategy, the picture wasn't strong enough to release theatrically and was too expensive for a streaming service. The company, under pressure to cut costs, elected to take a write-down on the project. A source with knowledge of the situation says Hamada was upset at not being consulted and concerned about the impact on those involved in making the film. On August 2nd, before talent and their representatives had been informed of the decision, the New York Post broke the news that the film had been shelved. The Post reported that the film had low test scores and said the source described it as irredeemable. In May, Warner Brothers Discovery canceled another DC movie head to the streamer, Wonder Twins, just after KG Apa and Isabel May were cast as the leads. Hamada assumed his role in 2018 during a fraught time for DC, which is struggling to find its footing after Justice League 2017. Missed at the box office, and there was no clear path forward for a cinematic universe. During his tenure, Hamada forged relationship with filmmakers such as Marvel favorite James Gunn. Rather than strive for Marvel's closely interconnected universe of films, DC properties under his watch were only loosely connected and sometimes took place in entirely separate universes, such as Joker and the Batman. Previous to DC, he was part of New Line Cinema. So that is that story from Hollywood Reporter. So then we had something from The Wrap, which The Wrap kind of came in. Humberto Gonzalez, who... Humberto's got a history. He's got a history. So he wrote this, and we'll read this really quickly. Kind of regurgitated some of the same information. DC Films chief Walter Mott to stay on for time being post Batgirl, yada yada. This was the new information. Additionally, according to two insiders who acknowledged the situation, Warner Brothers Pictures Group co-chairperson and CEOs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdy want Hamada to stay. So that is the one new piece of information from The Wrap. But to be honest, this is my personal opinion. I'm going to hold the Hollywood Reporter a little more reliable in this case because I feel like they broke down the situation pretty much as The Wrap adding this in. In regards to Hamada staying, I think it's very unlikely given how upset he is. But clearly they may want him to stay, maybe just during this transitional period, perhaps. But I don't think he's long for this world in regards to working at DC much longer anyway, regardless.
He was gone when the merger took place. And I do believe The Wrap as far as them saying that because they're going to be professional. As much as you may disagree or agree with Hamada's tenure, you don't want to trash somebody on their way out because it's a small world. You don't know who you're going to be dealing with again. And he has done nothing evil to really be out in the public and disrespected in public. So if I'm those two, I'm like I told you in the chat, I would praise him up to the point where you announce his replacement and wish him well. And there's no reason. I know fans might want to skewer him, but fans don't run corporations. So I believe that the fact that they're going to tell the public, yeah, we want to keep. They're going to tell you out of respect because you don't want to trash another executive, another comrade in public that way. But
I think, William, to your point, the fact that DeLuca and Abdy are overseeing DC Films and he was not consulted or informed about Batgirl speaks volumes to they do not really see him as the future leader. Because if they really wanted to keep him around, I don't think they would do a move like that without his consent or knowledge.
Well, but hold on. When did that take place? Because remember,
whoa. No, sorry, all my muted.
That was his phone.
Okay, so the article said at a recent Black Adam test screening, Black Adam is in the can. It's done.
Well, Black
So
Adam
this-
can still test screen so they can get an idea of where it's at.
No, it's done. It's done. The movie's in the can. It's done.
It
Like
could
they
get
finished
delayed,
it before
though.
Comic-Con. They finished it before Comic-Con. It was done. Yeah,
this
the movie
may
is
have-
finished. It's finished.
Well,
That's already been reported.
Yeah, I know, but they
So-
probably
so-
finished it, like right before Comic-Con. Yes,
They,
either
yeah,
way,
and that was a
it
couple
happened,
weeks
like,
ago.
last-
That was a couple weeks ago. So things maybe have potentially changed. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Is,
remember all
you
the
know,
money in the world?
I just don't see Hamada staying because again,
I don't know if
think
he's well. I don't know if he's going to stay or not. But the thing is, he has been able to bring in movies under his watch that have done well. Some not so much. The Batman has done very well. Joker did very well. Obviously, Joker 2 is going to be something. I
But
hate
here's the thing
idea
with
for it.
Joker, though. Hamada was instrumental in kind of screwing Warner Brothers out of a lot of money, though, because they
Was he?
initially didn't want to do it. Yes.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Remember
that
the
that was more of an
distribution deal?
Emmerich thing, wasn't it?
No, that
It
was
was both-
Hamada
no, it
too.
was both
He was
of
part
them.
of that.
Yeah, Hamada
Because they
advised.
didn't actually want to make Joker, so they did this distribution deal with another company, and they got a majority of that profit.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a mistake they won't make again. But you know,
But it was still
again,
under his watch, though. You
Yeah,
know,
you
it's
don't.
like-
That's not a mistake you should make once. Sorry,
Well-
that's a $500 million mistake, man.
it's well. But here's the thing, though. But again, you're missing out on the other part of that. It's not the money; it's also the accolades, because the accolades are going to go to the other company for the distribution deal. The best actor nom, that win. The other what else did it win for? It won something else.
From best wardrobe or best makeup,
best original
wardrobe.
score, I think.
Best, yeah, whatever those awards are, that goes to Warner Brothers. That's the prestige. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, look, Matthew Baloney wrote an article today and about everything, and he's talking about how you never know what's going to hit. Like Venom test screened. One of the executives thought it was one of the worst movies that Sony had made, and the thing made $806 million. You know,
Right.
so it's like you never know what's going to do well. Joker,
Hold on.
let's be real about Joker. Joker's a good movie, but it was heavily pushed by the whole access media nonsense that it was going to cause the next Parkland shooting, right? Or the next James Holmes shooting, Aurora, Colorado shooting. They pushed that narrative for months, dude. For months, they pushed
Well, there
that
was a lot
narrative.
of fear around the movie. Like everyone was scared that.
And
of it
yeah,
coming
who
out.
pushed the
Yeah.
fear? Who pushed the fear? And there
No,
was
I know.
never
No,
any.
I-
There was
I
never
agree with you, yeah.
1 ounce of accountability on that one, too, right? Not 1 ounce of accountability came back to the people that wrote those articles. Not one. But the movie went on to do over $1 billion. Some of them had a little bit of mea culpa. Quite a few shut their fucking trap. And then it won the Golden Lion at the Venice International with the Venice, right?
Yeah,
It won.
yeah.
Yeah, it won Golden Globes. It won a lot of these awards. It won. That's all prestige for Warner Brothers. That's all prestige for Hamada too, as well, and Emmerich.
Well,
That's the whole point.
Prestige
So we're not
matters,
just
but
talking. We're not.
Yeah.
So previously, I don't think Zaslav cares about prestige. But my honest
That's what I was
opinion,
going to mention.
I don't think he
cares
does.
More about the
but
bottom line.
now,
I think you would like to have prestige, but it comes down to is it going to be like
yeah.
prestige? That
But
makes financial
inside
sense?
Holly, but at this point, though, as I said, and as I keep reiterating, and for some reason you keep downplaying,
Who?
Zaslav has irreparably damaged Warner Brothers' standing in the industry.
I don't think so. I think that damage
all.
was done part of it.
Oh hell no! Come on, man. Look, we can disagree all day long about about whatever the machination of certain things, or just even minute details. But you got to, when you cancel a movie like this, even Kevin Feige at this point is basically dumping on Warner. Everyone is dumping on Warner Brothers. Matthew Baloney starts off his article. I have it up. He starts off his article here by saying an email came in yesterday from a TV writer. You should know that on multiple writer text change, people are calling him Zaslav the Butcher. Because at this point now, anyone who's going to go to work with Warner Brothers is going to be like, well, is my project going to get killed? Is my project
They're going to
going
look
to
at
get...
circumstances around that, though. You can't just
You can't-
say that in a vacuum. The
No, you
situation he inherited was unprecedented failure. And you want to say the damage to Warner Brothers brand, one of the CEOs banging people to get, to help him get jobs. I'm pretty sure that didn't help.
Well, Kevin
that
Tsujihara
didn't-
damaged his reputation too. Let's be fair.
They've done a lot of damage.
Tsujihara damaged his reputation, and nothing
he
he
was-
did was towards...
No, it was an embarrassment for Warner Brothers.
It was,
though.
and he
Yeah.
was gone,
Came
and
out.
he was gone. As soon as that came out, he was gone.
But I
So
think the
let's-
point is that the reputation of Warner Brothers has gone through the mud already.
Yes,
it
the
did start
reputation
with
has
that,
had
Bob.
its issues, but nothing like this. Okay, look, Kevin Tushihara getting Me Too'd is not the same thing. It's more important, by the way. It is more important overall than Zaslav scrapping 2 movies and a litany of other programs. But the fact that Batgirl and Scoob were basically done, that's what we're talking about here. That's what I'm talking about. Creatives in the industry who don't give a shit about money. They don't care about the money. They want money, but that's not what drives them. This is what I'm talking about. For some reason, you guys are really hell-bent on the money. It's about whether
It's not
or not
just the money, it's the vision. If these films did not fit the vision that he's laid out, is right.
He
He's
doesn't
the one
have
who
a vision, though. There's
But
no
how do you
one
know
leading.
that he has no vision?
There's no one leading the pack at the moment, right? Saying I have a 10-year plan.
Well, no,
but
it's not just the DC thing though. It's also the theatrical and streaming strategy and the vision
No,
for
but
what he wants to build Warner Brothers into. It's
and here's the thing with that is the same test score that apparently Batgirl got, and that did over $700 million. All right. They released the image today of Batgirl and Batman meeting each other for the first time, and that's blowing up the internet right now. All right. Like, people are talking about that. Like, holy shit, I want to see this. So let's actually look at the big picture here and realize that the damage is irreparable. I'm not saying company's going to go down.
Hold up. Is that the real Ethan Van Sciver? I think it is, because he's in Max's thing earlier.
Is that I can't?
If that is, and that's kind of that. Hello, EVS. What's up,
Brett?
I'm not Mad Max. I'm not Mad.
No
Max,
one hears
a
if it's really EVS. No one hears a bread tuber. The fuck?
I just want to clarify. I'm just I'm not Mad Max himself. I'm somebody else who creates content for the channel and my own. So just FYI, Max will be here later in the evening. So
yeah,
I have no way of getting into contact with you. So I have no clue how to send you a link, even if I wanted to. So
anyway, it's possible. I don't know if it's him or if
it actually is. It is him. I see the chat. Oh,
what the fuck is Ethan Van Sciver doing here? Anyway, look, at the end of the day, a lot of people, my opinion on it is, based upon what I've been seeing, is that people aren't going to want to work with them. Why would you? All right, at least for a while, because they got to come out and they got to make it right then. They got to make it right, and just paying off these people, which is what the reports were saying, is not enough. Because the Leslie Grace, the directors, Michael Keaton, everyone behind Scoob, everyone who worked on this movie, they're embarrassed. It was a public slap to the face. It broke early. It wasn't handled with care. And people in an industry that revolves around image, they got really, really, really damaged on that one.
They were already there.
No, they weren't. Already there. No, not the directors of the movie, not Leslie Grace. We're not talking about the budget of the movie, William. We're talking about the people.
I'm talking about the value of the company has been devalued. Damage is already done.
I'm talking about the people involved with this. You keep going back to the company. It's not the company. We're talking about the individuals who have been impacted and others not wanting to be in those positions.
People are going to work with Warner Brothers again. People aren't stupid. They're going to understand that the situation was an extraordinary one that he inherited. It is not an everyday situation. He inherited trash and had to deal with trash.
It was not exactly. They could have still released it on HBO Max and just taken the hit.
Why would you release something that is not consistent with what you want to do going forward?
Why would you also crap on everything just to save $15 million? Whoa. That's nothing compared to
you do more damage to the brand by releasing.
No, you don't. You don't. Not in this day. No, not in this day and age. Not in this. If they still have Michael Keaton in the Flash, then having the Batgirl thing, you could call that an Elseworld and be done with it.
But that's up to him. That's
the stupidest move, because he's coming at this from a network television executive who doesn't give a shit. And at the end of the day, the industry is going to react in kind.
They are not.
They are. Yes.
We'll have to see.
I'm telling you, man.
I doubt it. I don't think producers are that stupid. I don't think actors are that stupid, and filmmakers in general are not so stupid that they can't see what's been going on with Warner Brothers up to this point. And that it is an extraordinary situation. If this were happening every day, I could understand that. But he inherited an extraordinary.
Have you not paid attention to what he's been doing at Warner's anyway, canceling things left and right? Which I don't. It's not even a problem. We're not talking just movies. We're not talking just movies. We're not talking just movies. A bunch of shows, cutting back on children's animation, cutting back on all this stuff. Fine. He's scaling back. Not an issue. But Little Ellen, and I don't want to defend Little Ellen, but I kind of feel for the sake of principle.
Nobody wanted to see Little
Ellen. Yeah, I know. Well, season 3 was done, and they pulled it.
Well, who was watching Little Ellen, though?
I don't fucking know.
Who was watching
but still, if it's done, put it on the service and be done with it. Right? You put it out there. You have to have.
But again, Matt, I feel like we're ignoring the fact. Again, remember what Zaslav said. He wants to protect the DC brand.
No, he doesn't.
Is detrimental to damaging an already damaged goods brand. Then that's that. You know, it's hard to focus because EVS being in the chat kind of blows me away. He says he apparently wants to talk to you, Matt. So I don't know.
You can DM me on fucking Twitter. We can talk. I don't know. Like, I don't have anything to say to EVS. I don't know. We got tagged in a thread the other day and someone thought, I think we were friends or something. So I said, I agreed with him about a take, but that's all it is.
Max is at work. So, I mean, I don't know. So.
No, I'm not scared of EVS. I got nothing to say to EVS. We're not friends. Shut the fuck up, Ethan. I haven't talked to you in like 4 years.
I'm on the outside of this, so
yeah, it's an old thing.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, everyone knows Ethan Van Sciver, legendary artist for Green Lantern, Cyberfrog. You know.
Wait, is that the Turtles ripoff?
Come on, Matt. Come on.
No, I've seen some artwork from Cyberfrog. It looks interesting. No, I've never read it, but like it looks interesting. Yeah, it looks better than Isom. I'll tell you that.
Ouch. Ouch, man.
Hey, listen, Cyberfrog is like not a ninja turtle, but it's like it's a cybernetic frog. It's better than having a cross above your dick. Jeez. It's like the power of Christ compels you with my dick.
It's up to you, Matt. You if you
want. No, I don't. It's your show. I don't care. I have nothing to say to EVS. I don't even have a lot of time as it is. Because my kids are watching the Bob's Burgers movie in the other room. So
thanks for having me on, but I have no stake in what's about to happen next, and I'm running out of time.
I don't know what's gonna happen either. I'm just this isn't even my channel. I just make content for it. So
I will see you guys around inevitably somewhere. But thanks for having me on, RJ.
Yeah, no, of course, William. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, all right, man.
All right, Ethan Van Sciver. Hello.
Okay, hold on. Let me get situated here. Let me get
listen, I'll just say real quick, I'm kind of blown away you're even here listening in. Again, I'm not the channel owner, I just make content for it. I've read some of your stuff, I've seen some of your artwork, so hello, nice to talk to you. So
hey, it's great to talk to you too. I know everybody's panicking, like I'm here to cause trouble. No, I'm interested in this subject. I surround myself
well, you used to work for DC, so I'm kind of curious, like, to your perspective as well in regards to like what David Zaslav's all about and this DC film situation too. So if you want to say anything, go right ahead.
Yeah, the guy's really smart. I mean, he's just a really smart dude. I don't know. I mean, DC has had a terrible track record lately with their movies. I think everybody's got to agree with that. I'd have a hard time, like, I don't know, accepting a counter argument to that. I mean, they've had Wonder Woman and Aquaman out of a series of films going all the way back to 2011 that have been fucking disasters. And there's certainly fingers to point all around. But here's a guy who is successful at doing television for women. Right, Matt?
Yeah. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy who, does the TV that my wife likes, extraordinarily successful. He comes in here and he's just looking around and he's like, look, this is just not how to run a business. These movies, I'm listening to the people who are watching. Matt, do you think, first of all, the initial coverage for this, people were saying the movie was irredeemable. And then quickly, like the next day, they backpedaled on that. No, the reviews weren't so bad, another source within Warner says.
Yeah, I found that to be a little bit odd. I mean, coming in from the New York Post, which generally has a more salacious bent to it,
Sure.
is kind of how I initially took that particular report.
But the initial one or the second one?
The initial one, the second where they backed off of it and started talking about the testing numbers, like syncing up to what or comparing them to other films.
Yeah.
I thought was a more interesting take on it. To be fair.
Mm. Well, we've had this conversation before too, and we have a great question from Chubby Teddy. It kind of goes into something large. Maybe you can speak on this, but like the comic division, I feel like is probably going to get butchered. I've heard rumors they may want to like license out DC Publishing to like get like a Dynamite and IDW and just like license out the characters.
That was me who started those rumors.
But I mean, what's your opinion of Bendis? Think Bendis is going to leave DC Comics soon?
I it's hard to say. He has an enormous contract, and of the Diane Nelson against everybody's best, initiatives. Everybody kind of didn't want this. Diane Nelson thought it would be a really good idea, a way to get AT&T interested in DC Comics. Give Bendis an enormous contract, get him over here and get him working on the Superman books. And it was something that only she wanted. And then a year later, she was fired from the company. So they're stuck with Bendis. Bendis hasn't, in my opinion, I don't know about yours, hasn't been doing tremendous work. I mean,
I think it's some of his weakest work, to be honest. I'm more of a fan of his Ultimate Spider-Man, like from the early 2000s, and that's
his ship really came in with that contract. That's all I can say. I mean, he's like, he waited. He deserves it. He did a lot of great work at Marvel. Does he belong at DC? No, he doesn't. Are they going to keep him in an era where they're, they're basically pulling their belts tight and cutting corners and pinching pennies? I got to think that his contract is probably going to be not terminated, but it's not going to be renewed. And it's going to be on him whether he wants to stick around or whether he wants to go see if Marvel will take him back. And I have a feeling Marvel will just take him back. So
probably. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on the Batgirl cancellation. How do you view that? Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great thing. And understand that the Batgirl was just the film that is the most visible because they'd already spent so much money on it. They canceled everything. They canceled all of this SJW shit. They canceled Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Superman. They canceled the shitty Green Lantern HBO show that was going to happen without.
No, that's been confirmed to still be in development.
What, the Green Lantern show?
Yeah, that was confirmed yesterday to still be in development.
Yeah, there was a journalist who got a comment from Warner Brothers saying that it's still. I don't think it's going to happen though.
I don't think it's going to happen, but
I don't
yeah,
think it's going to happen either.
I think maybe not permanently. Supergirl's apparently gone. The Supergirl show, everything associated. Now they're going to still put out the Flash, even though I just put up a video now, and my personal plea, my prayer to Zaslav that it reaches his ears. I understand why he'd want to put that movie out. It's getting good reviews, getting good feedback from what I hear from everybody who's watching it. Ezra Miller's a ticking time bomb. He's a murder-suicide. There's something between now and next year, next summer, this guy is going to do something catastrophic. And so, look, either put it out now or announce that you're canceling it now and don't spend any more money on it because, boy, you're running a real risk with that psycho out there. And I understand, well, we won't use him to promote it. Other films have been put out without the lead promoting it. Incredible Hulk, Kick-Ass. They all went out there. They did really well in spite of the fact that the leads weren't involved in the promotional tours. But holy shit, like this guy is really.
No, I agree. I think the Ezra Miller situation is becoming so volatile. It's a dangerous game to play in regards to like this whole release strategy thing. He did mention though, I think during that earnings call I listened into, that they're kind of like going to reevaluate the 45-day window in their marketing campaign, saying like some movies may get a very reduced marketing campaign where you don't really market it at all. I'm like, that's Flash. Like if you're going to release for Flash, you don't think they're going to do a big PR tour? No, they're not going to have Ezra in front of an open mic. They're not going to have journalists interview him because the first thing's going to come up is, can you comment on this?
Yeah, how could you?
Yeah,
they're in real trouble. I feel for them over there. So we'll see. I like the idea. I mean, Zaslav's strategy seems to be, look, we got to burn this all down and we got to start over again. From the very fundamentals, and it should be so easy to do. You do a very good.
Well, I
Let me-
have to,
well,
I
I-
have to ask Ethan though, real quick. Are you a fan of the Snyderverse? Do you think the Snyderverse should return? Should Zaslav restore the Snyderverse? Hashtag.
I'm a mixed minds about that. On the one hand, the Snyder movies are abysmal. Okay, they're fucking horrible representations of my wonderful superhero friends that I grew up with since I was a kid. On the other hand, I really like the idea of the fandom rising up and forcing a corporation to give them the product that they want, even if the product is shit. I like the Snyder bronies, as I've called them. They're a great cult. They're working hard for their bizarre cult leader, Zack Snyder.
all those bots hard at work.
Yeah, I know. I heard the bots thing. I'm not totally convinced. I really think these are real flesh and blood people who have been manipulated by Zack Snyder. I think he's a very good cult leader.
Wow.
You know what?
Okay.
You and I would actually agree on that particular point. And I wouldn't go as far as to say a cult leader, but definitely good at the manipulation game. And I
Well,
do
look at
think
these
that there's
guys.
somebody funding it.
Well, who?
I don't know who. I mean, well, okay, so there's a working theory with that. So whenever there's Snyder course or Snyderverse discourse, where does it generally tend to stem from? Vero, right?
Who's
Zach
Vero?
posts something on Vero. Vero is a social media outlet, website, whatever, that Zack Snyder exclusively uses to communicate with his audience. And this has been happening for years now.
Right.
So, and that's where the bulk of the Snyder fandom are on Vero. And so every time Zach posts something on there, they all rush to it.
Yeah.
And then it spreads across social media. So Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. And then it gets more people to talk about Zack Snyder on Vero. It's like the best free advertising. The guy who by the way, who owns it is a Lebanese billionaire who's a massive comic books fan who owns one. I think they call it like the Incredible Collection. He owns like all these rare books and is friends with Zach and actually paid money back in 2015, like to charity, to have a walk-on role in BVS as like a concerned citizen, right? So it's like if you got a billionaire who's kind of like, looking to like boost up his social media company, why not put some money into this campaign? And all it does is just drive it all back to Vero.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I didn't know that, but that makes complete sense to me. I believe in that kind of stuff happening. I believe there's a central, power battery behind a lot of these big movements here.
Yeah.
And I think that's something.
Well, the Times Square billboards were averaged at like $50,000 a day, right? And I've talked to Snyder fans that have been around for a while. I've been around for a while too, and I remember some of these crowdfunding campaigns, but not all of them. Some of the bigger ones, I don't remember seeing that at all. But they all say, "Oh, it's all crowdfunded." Yeah, but by who? Where is the proof of this? Where is the paper trail?
Good job, man. Interesting. Yeah, I'm fascinated by all of this. I believe Warner Brothers is rightfully terrified of Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder is able to utilize Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher is a soldier of his who's working on his orders essentially, and picking soft targets.
Jesus, you and Matt do sound
God,
the same
I hate.
in regards
Why
to
are we
this.
agreeing on so much today, Ethan? I don't know what the fuck is happening. This is scary.
Listen, as long as you're not coming. See, the thing is, Matt, we had trouble before because here's why we had trouble in 2019. Because I was adamant about what was going on at Star Wars, and you didn't understand that. Like, even though you were adamant about what was going on with Ghostbusters in 2016 before my time, you should have been able to relate to the Fandom Menace as a movement. But you couldn't. And there are definitely some bad apples in the Fandom Menace. I've been loving these videos, fellas. There's some bad apples in the Fandom Menace. But the idea of, deliberate, funded social justice, ESG, all of these movements corrupting, all of these powers corrupting our entertainment is something that should concern you and I equally. And if it doesn't concern you at all, then I can't relate to you. But I know there's some part of your brain that remembers being irritated by it, and that's the part of your brain that I'm talking to right
I'll
now.
tell you what irritates me. It's what I speaking on Ghostbusters. It's not. I never cared. Like I never cared for the idea of what Paul Feig was up to. I thought the concept was bad. But what got me,
bad from the jump. It was a
it
bad
was bad.
idea.
Oh
The
God,
theater was
yeah,
horrible.
it was
The movie
terrible.
was a disaster.
But what got me about that was it was the media, right? The access media, and how they frame it through headlines, you know, and that's what
they
I was
especially went to bat with that movie. They were like, they really went to bat
Well,
for that
And
movie,
people who
really
didn't
tried,
like it
yeah.
were what? They were sexist, bigot,
That's
racist.
right.
See,
Misogynist.
they
I
do this
remember all those
over
lines.
and
Yeah.
over and over again. They do it with everything. They did it with. They're doing it with the Phantom Menace now. They did it with Comicsgate and the fucking milkshake girls. They have the same strategy that they use over and over again, and I recognize it every single time, even if I'm not sympathetic with a particular hobby. You know, I always understand the fans. I try to understand where the fans are coming from, and then I recognize these corporate manipulative tactics to silence dissent. You know, when they arrive, and they're consistent, they're always the same, and you saw it. So the fact that you saw it and you understand it, hopefully you'll be able to see it all the time. Now, where you and I agree is I'm seeing racism lately. You know, I'm actually seeing legit racism coming from some aspects of my side of the aisle. Whereas I didn't really see it before. Racist, being called a racist to me was funny because it was just like, I grew up in New Jersey. Like I'm not racist. I grew up in the bluest state in the world. You know, it's just not. I don't have those inclinations at all. But all I hear is racism all day long. So I've learned to tune it out. You know, I've learned to tune out accusations of racism until I fucking actually see it, and then I get concerned. So I mean, you and I have more common ground right now than you know. I think we've agreed about before.
So just for clarification, because I see some people in the chat kind of surprised, you actually do take some issue with what's going on your side of things in regards to like the way the Phantom. Well, is the Phantom Menace dead? I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. Like people say like they're not Phantom Menace anymore. Like I think Jeremy said, "Oh, Phantom Menace isn't a thing anymore." Because ever since that whole Mecha Random thing happened, it just went tits up.
So I am the Phantom Menace. So I
Okay.
created the phrase the Phantom Menace.
Okay.
And then I left. I went on to do my own thing. And some people whose channels have surpassed mine decided that they didn't want the association with me. So they go, we're not the Phantom Menace. But the same thing happens with Comicsgate. When people take it, they say it's a personal association. I don't want to personally be associated with this guy. I'd like to be a leader on my own. Then that totally makes sense.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I feel like the narrative goes around that geeks and gamers were the ones who created the Phantom Menace. So,
oh no, Jeremy straight up jumped on that motherfucker.
Yeah, Jeremy said he was the leader.
Because I don't know a lot of the history, so I appreciate you educating the audience on that.
Well, I think Ethan's right. Jeremy, I don't remember if he said he was the leader, but he definitely kind of like threw himself in that
as the face of the Phantom Menace.
Who's Caden? How you doing, Caden? What's up?
Hi, Ethan. I'm doing good.
Okay. But what this is all about is it doesn't matter what we say. I mean, the Phantom Menace is what other people call you. So when we've got like, you know, weird Raylos who, you know, are being backed by former Lucasfilm employees and PR agents whose job it is to deplatform something that they understand to be the Phantom Menace, it doesn't matter what you call yourself. It only matters what they think you are. So, you know, broadly, everybody on that list, probably including you, Matt, are the Phantom Menace. And that's just the way it is. We're critical on the internet.
I got to ask Ethan the tough question, though, because it is coming up. And I'll ask a tough question. I'm not afraid to. When you're referring to racism on your side, does that include what happened with Ryan Kinnell at Universal Studios?
Well, okay, look, I did see that video. I will say this. My opinion of what Ryan Kinnell was probably doing was Ryan Kinnell thought he was attacking a radical left-wing sacred cow that led to Black Lives Matter. I think that's what was going on in his head. And he lost the reality of the idea of a black man who was murdered by a policeman. He was convicted, okay? The guy was convicted of murder. So there's nothing funny about that. It's not a joke. A lot of people were motivated and moved by that. it's just not a joke. It's not a joke to me. But I've made bad jokes before too. So what am I going to do? It's like I can't really come out and say, yeah, well, you can't. I've made jokes that are misunderstood, but they were never made out of hatred for any particular race or group of people. My Asians with Tommy guns joke, famously, was attacking the pompous sanctimony of Zack Snyder in one particular moment. It's like that's it. But so I'm not somebody who wants to go around and judge people by jokes. I think that's the wrong thing to do. But what I would say is that the George Floyd situation is sensitive to people, and you shouldn't be. It's hard for me to find humor in that. Let me just put it that I'm not going to judge anyone. It's hard for me.
I think I understand what you're saying. I think that it's again, paying attention just a little bit. I've seen like the Dark Council, for example, come out and basically say they kind of condone what Ryan did, and they're very tight with Drunk 3PO, for example. I thought Abu Nas especially made a very impassioned discussion on that, really, and I thought what he said spoke volumes to where it's like I think that some people in that movement, I feel like, have kind of like gone so far away from what some intentions were that they've kind of like morphed into this other thing. Because I'm not afraid to say this. I feel like Jeremy, especially from Geeks and Gamers, is like really moved in like that Hollywood access mindset. When I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like a lot of what the Phantom Menace was started and created as is more so anti-access media, right? So it's kind of weird how it's kind of been spun around and kind of turning back around to that, where they want to become access media.
Well, I mean, I think maybe they had thoughts about that once. I don't think they have thoughts about that anymore.
I don't think they have delusions of grandeur about it, but you'll hear Jeremy talk about it every once in a while, and he'll grandstand and he'll say things like, I don't need Hollywood, but if they want to come talk to me, and it's that but it's that but at the end there, and you're like, dude, just admit it, man. Like, what my take on it is that these guys want to be tastemakers, right? They do. They have an impassioned audience, of which I vehemently disagree with a lot of them, but they have an impassioned audience that are very dialed into what they say. And I mean, they could effectively be used as a way to push towards or against something, depending. But they want to feel like they're included in the conversation. When, again, it's like we talked about before, like with these kind of corporate-backed, what feels like corporate-backed movements to push an agenda or another. Especially in the case of Ghostbusters, when you had the head of the studio coming out and making those same claims.
Black Lives Matter is a corporate-backed movement to push an agenda. It's backed by communists. It's a communist front movement, no different than anything from the fucking 1960s.
I haven't paid attention to BLM in years.
Kinnell says, makes the comment that he's making. What he thinks he's doing is he thinks he's attacking that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's not, and that's the problem. It's just a misfire. It's a like, hey, I see you motherfuckers, I see you commies for what you are, but it isn't. So to me, like something like that is a little bit of like, hey, think twice about that maybe. Yeah, like we're all talking about movements that are backed by more sinister, larger groups with political interests.
Well, Gamergate. I mean, that's been proven.
About Gamergate, like you were Gamergate.
I to some extent, sure, but like I was the ethics and journalism guy, right? That's what I was, and that was a big part of the initial phases of it. But as we've learned, and this is through leaked documents coming out through Milo Yiannopoulos and Breitbart, Bannon sent Milo Yiannopoulos into Gamergate to co-opt it because he figured that there was enough of an audience there of angry people that they could use against you could say the socialist agenda, left, whatever, right? That particular SJW side of things. And it worked. And it worked because Milo came out. And I remember when he hit the scene, it was like, oh my God, because you keep in mind, like, there was like all these attacks on gamers. There was a coordinated effort at the end of August 2014 for like what they called the Gamers Are Dead movement. Like 10 coordinated articles came out all in the span of a day from different outlets. We found out that there was a games journalism email group that were like talking about like how to like coordinate to support Zoe Quinn and like send her flowers or whatever else and stuff. And so you could start to see, like, as these leaks were coming, how coordinated the pushback was against everything, right? And then Milo comes out and just kind of throws this wrench into everything, but that attracted so much of like the 4chan, 8chan audience,
Right.
you know, and then that started bringing that in, and that was about the time. And then it became, instead of being like, let's go for ethics, it became this, let's just go after the left. Well, in the early days of Gamergate, a lot of the people who were in it, they all did political compass tests, right? And it was all left-wing people. It was mostly left-wing people who were into it. And then it became kind of co-opted, and it got away from the rest of us who wanted ethics. You know, I was kind of just following the crowd at that point, like to my detriment, I'll fully admit, because you just get sucked up into it. But, you know, upon reflection years later, it's like, yeah, no, once they came into it, you know, it kind of blew up. And then even RJ will back, like, do you know Zoe Quinn wrote a book, and she basically,
I have a story for this. So, my first year of college, when I was a freshman, the first time I went in there, we were taking, it was like the welcome to college class, where they kind of like went over things about like expectations of college and what you got to do. There was a book that they assigned over the summer that we were supposed to read, and it was the recently released Zoe Quinn book. And it was hilarious because the professor that I was interacting with kind of like talked about one of the chapters, and they basically were going off about how it's amazing how a little blue skull could have caused the downfall of our democracy. I was like, oh my God, it's fucking Matt Jarbo they're talking about. I had this big giant conversation about fucking Matt Jarbo.
How do you like that?
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird. I've jokingly told this to people. Like, I'm like, by Zoe Quinn's own logic, she thinks I started Gamergate, and then she thinks that Gamergate got Trump elected. So by her logic, a Bernie Sanders loving liberal got Trump elected. It's like, okay.
True, thank you. You know, why couldn't you have done
you've done a lot of things. You know,
let's get back to work in 2024. Yeah.
I mean, no, but it's like, I think it's like with the whole point I'm trying to get to, because I actually have to go. I have to check on my kids, but it's like, look, I don't like the way the media spins shit. Either side of the media spins shit, and that's where I'm at. Like, you know, so it's like in regards to Star Wars, I hated The Last Jedi. I still hate The Last Jedi. I've tried to like it. I can't do it. I can't. But I fucking love Solo. You know what I mean? So it's like, I try to take everything on a case-by-case basis as best I possibly can. And that's where I'm at now with all this kind of stuff. But it is hard sometimes to like not look at the headlines that come out and look at the agendas of people who are writing these articles and go like, you guys are just losing the plot constantly. You know, again, look at Joker. Joker did it what it did because Peter Sciretta from Slash Film was the first person to come out the day that those reviews dropped and said that this, you know, effectively that this movie could cause the next, like, another shooting. And here's the thing with this, Ethan. A friend of mine, or a former friend of mine, was at a screening of Joker about like a month and a half before the reviews came out, right? And as he was leaving the screening, he overheard Peter Sciretta saying the exact same thing. He called me that night and told me about it. So I knew this information. And then as soon as those reviews dropped and I see that post from Sciretta, I'm like, there we go. There's your first little fucking piece of this domino kicking over. And then from there, I watched this whole thing unfold for like a couple weeks of just like getting the military involved and warning bases about a potential attack because of the Joker. I mean, like,
absolutely insane.
It was so insane. And I went to go see the movie the first day it came out, you know, very first show. And I go to my theater. I live in a small town, 40,000 people. And there's like, you know, cop cars parked on either side of the auditorium of the theater. And it's like,
it was all this hysteria over potential like incel white supremacists who are going to go on mass shootings. Just complete and total bullshit. It was great movie. You know, low budget, put together, makes a lot of money. That's the kind of thing that I think, should open a lot of people's eyes to what's going on out there. There's definitely an agenda. There's definitely an agenda out there to silence a certain group of people. And I belong to that certain group of people. You know, I'm just the voice of dissent, happily so. Very proud of it. Very proud of Comicsgate, everything that it's doing right now. Kind of proud of the Fandom Menace. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Ethan.
I might get back into it.
Hold on. Wait. Ethan.
This is Saggy Melons, by the way.
He knows who I am. Don't worry about it. Ethan, what are you doing here?
Enjoy myself. Why?
You're just everywhere. I swear. You show up at the most random streams, and everyone was like, "Easton Van Skyver is here." I was like, "Of course he is." You show up at the most random streams. It's so weird that would like. I don't know how we've never
First of all,
talked.
yeah, I mean, first of all, I wanted to talk to Matt for a while to get on an even keel with Matt because we have kind of an adversarial thing. Matt, I don't want to be your enemy. Okay, it's stupid. This is 3 years have gone by. Let's just call it peace. Could we?
Oh, y'all didn't like each other?
Yeah.
No, we got into it in the summer of 2018.
I didn't even know
before
that.
I had before the kill stream bolter shit.
Oh,
So,
I didn't know you
it's right
guys
before
actually
then,
had
yeah.
issues. Damn.
It was Star Wars related stuff. This is a complete we agree about more things than we'll probably disagree about. And even at the stuff we disagree about with, I could probably talk to you about it and have fun. I'm here because it's fun. I found this channel. You guys all hang out here. I started watching some videos.
No, I mean, I'm kind of shocked you popped in on my stream because I literally am like a 200 sub channel who just makes
That's
content
what
for
I'm
Max.
saying. I was
So,
why? I'm like, how did Ethan find
I subscribed
RJ's
to this
channel?
channel. I subscribed, and it came
Well,
up.
hey, I mean, if you want to subscribe to the Marvel,
Oh, stop fangirling.
Well, hey guys,
Stop
I hate to cut this
fangirling.
short, but I gotta go check on my kids. So I gotta
Matt, I
dip.
appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go too. Matt, great talking to you, and thank you, RJ. Thanks, Saggy Melons and Caden, whoever you are. I'll see you guys again soon. Take good
Bye,
care.
Ethan.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you, Ethan.
It's so random when you be like, literally, I'm not joking. I literally will be watching some random YouTuber that I follow.
Max
and
just
Ethan
got
just
here.
shows
Oh,
up.
what the hell? I just missed it.
Wow.
All right. Well, hey guys, I gotta dip, but I'll be streaming later tonight once I get done driving. So
Okay, bye.
Thanks.
talking about
Bye.
Hamada's back.
Bro.
What did I miss?
So,
Dude, Ethan Van Skyver just randomly shows up at
we
random
talked-
I
times.
know he gave a
I
comment on my
talked to,
video last night.
Yeah, I talked to
Did he?
EVS. Yeah, EVS said he subscribed to Movie Madness Entertainment.
He must be really he must be really interested in this whole DC stuff going on because he's making his rounds.
Well, dude, he used to draw for DC Comics. He was the
No, I know that. I know who he is, but I think he's really interested with how you guys are covering it if he's following because Ethan likes to make his rounds. But that's why I was like, how the hell did he find RJ's channel? That's very random.
Well, remember, I'm streaming on Max's channel.
Well,
too.
he followed me
subscribed to
back
Max.
in the day. He liked the tweet.
Oh.
He does follow people when he likes a tweet. So I did a tweet way back, and then I was on a stream with him way back with him and Jeremy.
You missed him.
I did. I got a message from
he
Dino.
did say he did say he wanted to talk to you. So maybe popping in tonight. You never know.
All right.
Talk to Ethan.
But yeah, let's get back to the topic of conversation.
I'm trying to get ready for the Dancing with Ghost stream.
Oh, when's that?
45 minutes. So I was just
he
messaging.
likes to book it when I can't be there.
Oh, it's because they're so busy. They're doing concerts every Saturday.
Okay, I have to go back to work. My boss is looking at me funny because I was like, "Why is Ethan here?" So I'm gonna go back to work. Love you guys. Bye.
All
right. But yeah, Max.
I completely missed everything you're talking about. I was setting up the stream,
we were talking about the aftermath of the Warner Brothers Discovery earnings call. And we were talking a little bit about this Walter Hamada article from THR saying that he's on the verge of leaving, but he's going to at least stay until October 21st with the release of Black Adam. So, then the Wrap, Umberto Gonzalez came out with an article saying that Pamela Abdi and Michael DeLuca want Hamada to stay as DC head. So.
I don't know.
There's a lot going on. I think, we were talking about this for a little bit. I think Hamada is more likely on the way out. I don't envision him staying personally. I think that after October 21st, the release of Black Adam, I think he's most likely gone. I can't see him staying because, again, he basically holds no power. So.
All right. Well, I'm not. I don't know if anyone really knows exactly what's going on. Like, even if there were plans, things could change. Like, I really think based on what he's doing is he's going to do what's best for what he thinks is going to, make these.
Well, I will say this, figure drawing. I was not sucking off EVS. It's called being a respectful host and having an open.
Well, you don't want to go full tilt when someone pops in.
No, I was being
You're not
respectful
gonna
and I allowed
attack
him. I'm
someone.
not, and he didn't come in hot.
I mean,
so
even
why would
though I
Here's the
also
thing,
have
he
issues
didn't
with
come in hot.
EBS.
Well,
Yeah.
that's fine, but I'm saying he didn't come
Yeah.
in hot. He was respectful to both me as the host and Matt and Caden and William. Before
Yeah.
William left,
What
there
I
was
mean,
no
if we
reason.
really want,
There was no reason for me to go hot at him.
if we
The other
really
thing
want
is,
a
too,
better
he actually
world,
did address the
Yeah.
Ryan Kindle situation. I thought what he said. You may not like what he said, but I thought what he said was respectable in regards
I
to
think
saying that the George Floyd
you can
situation is not something to
understand
be laughed
someone.
at.
You can understand someone, but not like what they say.
Exactly. And that's kind of where we're at, where people need to realize, like, just because we may have very different points on some things, we can have a respectable conversation. So,
yeah, I
that's what
mean,
we
it
had.
really didn't benefit him to come here, honestly. So if he wants to talk, I give him credit there, and I do respect his talent. I just don't like. I don't hate the man. I just hate some of the things he does, and some of his own humor, and some of his own opinions on things. But I don't hate. I really don't hate anyone, honestly.
No, and again, if as a host, I would hope that my audience here would.
No,
give me
I mean
credit
that's
to where
how I
something-
do.
If it went off the rails, I would take care of it, but it didn't get off the rails. We had a great conversation. So
Yeah. Oh, hey, EVS. Yeah, I've been critical of you before.
he came in literally because he's like, "Oh, RJ, my lieutenant,
He's going to come
EVS
back
on."
to talk
It's
to
like,
Max.
"Oh, I gotta show up."
All right. I mean, I'm up to talk to you anytime. That's fair. I respect people talking to each other, definitely. And I do. I was going to be a customer at one time of Cyberfrog. I was.
Well, here's the thing with that too. The reason I was not as calm with Jeremy was, at least back then, is because I think I was a lot more heated and a lot more angry and a lot more immature. I think over the course of my time on YouTube, I have allowed myself to kind of be more professional when it comes to this stuff. So, again, y'all may hate me for having them on, but we're having good conversations. So,
yeah, I mean, if we really want a better world, we got to talk to people we disagree with. Hi, Ethan. Yeah. I appreciate you coming on earlier. RJ does a good job on this channel.
Yeah, I thought he was you, so I didn't understand. I've been watching some of your videos and stuff, so I thought I would.
Okay. Hey, if you have any criticisms of me, feel free. I'm not afraid to get criticism myself. Do you think I went overboard on my criticisms of Jeremy and Ryan? I didn't hear earlier. I just got out of work, so.
No, I mean, I'm guarding my words about that whole situation.
You're friendly with them too, so I don't.
Yeah, not really, but
okay.
I mean, no, those guys don't like me very much. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But no, I just ask the question. I can't read people's minds. When you say, "Is this person racist?" I don't know. When you say, "Is what they did or said racist?" That's a different question.
Right. I don't like to say that they are racist, but they could do things that are racially insensitive, and I think they can be prejudiced and bigoted towards other ideas. Like I honestly, even though I think you're very entertaining, I kind of feel that way towards you, Tom, sometimes too. Like about around other ideas, different. I don't really get into politics, but it seems like you're really against the opposite, the opposite side. But I know you have a history too. I do.
Sure.
With what happened to you in the industry, and I don't know. I did see your comment out of the blue last night. I was like, "Whoa, that's weird." We haven't talked in a while.
I saw that. I think when you said that, I was like, "What the heck?"
That was fake.
Very confused.
No. I mean,
I didn't know who it was at first, but then I really looked at it and I was like, "Oh, now I know who this is."
Well, what can you do when you're real critical of people? If they're willing to talk, that shows the measure of a person, I think. So.
But the thing about you guys is that my one criticism of you, I would say, sure. Is not what you say. It's that maybe you say too much of it, because it's the same thing. Like when people are critical of the quartering, they're like, "Oh, all he does is make videos about Brie Larson, Kathleen Kennedy, the Geeks and Gamers guys," and then they'll do that thing where they'll show all of their videos. They're like 600 videos of every. Your videos are the same way, except they're about a microcosm within the internet. You're actually attacking the critics on behalf of these big corporations. So even if these critics are maybe not that smart, maybe some of the things they're saying aren't that pointed or interesting. Like, imagine you're you're wasting your time attacking critics of enormous corporations, even if those critics aren't effective. Like, and your videos are the same way. It's like you've got 600 videos making fun of Nerdrotic. I've only got like 3.
Well,
to be
it's
fair,
real quick,
that is
it's
actually
funny.
criticism that I've addressed in the past, Ethan, and I've done more movie talk. And then when I get really passionate and stuff really bothers me.
Well, I was going to mention, I think I like, because this channel that I'm on, the Marvel Maniac, is my second channel. The initial channel I made, the Resident Justice channel, like, I got my claim to fame from going after Jeremy and Nerdrotic over Shang-Chi, right? It's how I kind of got into things. But, like, at a certain point, I think that boy 22 said earlier, chats, it's like, you're never going to be able to change the minds of people who are set in their ways. So why get angry and fight about it, right?
I disagree. I think you can change minds. I really do.
Voice is important. I think.
Well, yeah. Well, what I mean is like, for me at least, I never found it fulfilling to make my channel's identity revolve around talking about other content creators, because it's not fulfilling as a content creator myself. So even though my channel may only have like 238 subs, I'm loving what I'm doing, just talking about the stuff I like. Because I know most people don't like Marvel right now. I like the MCU. I like Marvel, but like, it's okay if other people don't. But I've crafted my own specific niche where I enjoy what I talk about. I talk about a variety of things, just like right here, I'm talking about DC, and I'm having a much more fulfilling time as a content creator than I used to have over like a year ago, let's say. So,
yeah, even though I think some of the stuff that I choose to watch when I'm drawing is garbage. I mean, it's like I'll watch people attacking other content creators, making like people like oh god. What's it in Porcelain? Like his videos, like that stuff's fun. It's just funny to watch. But for the most part, like when it comes to our community, and we're all in the same community, fellas, whether we agree or disagree, we're in this fandom community of geek culture. So whether
it's all one collective. It's just that we're like, it's like different clubs. We're in one club, they're in another club, but it's all under the same umbrella, right? It's all in the online geekdom sort of thing.
I'm fascinated with your chat. Thomas Scott says quartering defended Hitler. Fuck him. When did he defend Hitler? How? What?
Well,
I believe Thomas. I think Thomas may be referring to when the quartering got upset at Michael Giacchino for saying something about Hitler.
Hitler's better than him.
He said Hitler's better than you.
Yeah, something
Michael
like that.
Giacchino. Yeah.
He did that to probably trigger. Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah. I don't know. So I just, for the most part, like, there's no point in me coming after small creators. Even
right.
I rarely.
Again, I'm the host, by the way. So when I bring up this comment, Max, you can say whatever. I'm just saying this is myself. So if you get mad at me, get mad at me.
No,
but there's no reason to say that like he's dominating us when we're just simply having a conversation.
No. I mean, I didn't.
Honestly,
like,
we're not letting him steamroll over us. I asked him a tough question about Ryan Kindle earlier. I'm not afraid to talk to him. That's the difference.
Honestly, I'm just getting off a hard day's work. I'm a working man. I know EVS is a worker man too, so I just got off my job.
What do you want to say? What's the problem?
No.
I don't have a problem. I think it's more so the chat that has issues.
No, that I'm not being critical enough of you. I do feel a lot of the. I mean, if I'm going to go in the criticisms, the anti SJW scene does a lot of fear mongering and presents things that aren't there, like this. The boy that cried wolf. And I think you search for it when really there's little there, or maybe you honestly believe there's a lot there, or for like your criticism of like I did start to watch. I was actually going to do a reaction to your video soon, Ethan.
Do them, yeah.
About the reason DC is failing and all this is happening is because the SJW influence and not just bad decision making. Like that's what really drives me crazy.
That's not what I say. That is not my viewpoint. That SJWism,
like with the Batgirl and that being canceled, you kind of were. I mean, I'd have to revisit your video.
Oh no, I would celebrate Batgirl being canceled because it is not. I mean, it's one of these again. It's one of these things where it's like, okay, we've got a ginger character who is Caucasian. We're going to replace her automatically. Now, these days, you just expect it. We're going to replace her with a woman of color, a person of color. And it happens constantly. You just take it for granted now. And that is, my friend, that is social justice warriorism. That impulse is social justice warriorism.
Well,
So
let me ask you
I've
this
got
in
to a
regards
point
to the-
in my
sorry, go
personal
next.
opinions, though. I just don't even care anymore. I've gotten so tired
I
of
don't either.
old men reading. That's really not. I don't think that's why it failed. It just failed because it wasn't a good product, unfortunately, or they didn't think it was going to be. But that's not really why it failed, though, because they decided the race swapper. I know there's the ginger side joke that you, and there is some
that's
truth
so
to it.
weird. I said in my video, I said, why? I understand it's like people will say it's not real. Then why is it persistently so? I mean, when you see all of these redheaded, it's so bizarre.
I think it'd be naive of all of us to assume that there's not sometimes an effort to maximize diversity on screen, not just because of the way our world is now, but I think also too, a lot of this comes from corporations seeing that, well, it's market tested, that we need to make sure the movie is 4 quadrants. We need to make sure that all these demographics feel welcome to come in and watch our product. So I think a lot of it isn't just necessarily due to politics. I think it's also too, it's just that people think that, like, the people in charge think this is what makes the money, and sometimes it doesn't. Because here's the thing: it doesn't matter who you put on screen. If Batgirl was a bad movie, it was going to be a bad movie and not make them the money they wanted. Right.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's kind of
Crucifer in the chat says, does it matter what race an actor is as long as they're the best for the job? No, you're right. How was she best for the job again? She did one movie before
this. But suggesting she's not is kind of prejudiced.
Well, no, it isn't. It's just she did one movie before this. She brings nothing. Okay. She has no name. She brings nothing to the role.
She did. She
except
was
for a pretty face.
I think she got acclaim.
I think if we would have gotten to see her performance, I think she would have done a good job based on what the test audience said. They said she and Michael Keaton were the best parts. It's the story and the movie around them wasn't very good.
But Ethan, here's a question for you. Don't you think we've got to a point where we can give other people shots, even if it's not exactly to the source material, as long as the race and gender is not extrinsically tied to the origins?
Yeah, like
one of the best examples, I think.
That's where I'm at.
I mean, I know in the Ultimate Comics, Mark Miller and the artist model.
Like when he asked me a direct question, can I answer?
Sure.
Sorry, it's your show and stuff, but like,
yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sure. Yeah, it's not. It isn't even the idea of replace. Like, I'm not like autistically demanding that every single white character be represented as a white person. That just isn't that interesting to me. What I'm interested in is the impulse and the political operation behind insisting that they be otherwise. So, I mean, if you want to come in and say Ghost Rider, this is Ghost Rider, but he's going to be Latino this time because we just think it's going to be cool. That's kind of neat. But there's a strange thing. There's a political drive towards always making that the case, almost always consistently doing race, gender swaps, making characters gay that were previously not gay. And that's my concern, that just the mere existence of people and making the world look like it does outside my window, your window. I applaud that. I agree with that. Stan Lee wanted that. And I try to bring that to my own comics. Cyberfrog is full of people of color, mostly a frog though. But I want that. I understand. I work for DC. I understand that. But what I don't understand is the very strange agenda that pushes it. And that's what I'm pushing back against, because that very strange agenda is the same one that called me a bigot and removed me for being a Trump supporter at DC Comics. That very same group of people, that very same cult, I would say, cult mindset, SJWs, they need to be stopped. They're poisonous. Now, so it's not just, again, just to restate, it's not just the fact that Batgirl is a Latina. The question is why? Why is she a Latina? Why this? It's not as though this is Doja Cat or somebody who's a big star and who's going to make the role. People are going to come see it because it's Doja Cat. She's a nobody. So why did it happen?
I mean, why is there a higher level of that everything needs to be explained? Whereas, like in the history of Hollywood, no one was really, not this outcry when all the whitewashing. It's just, it can get overboard.
It's consistent. It's peculiar. I mean, you'd have to ask some questions. I'm not asking for explanations every single time. I'm just saying It's consistent. It continues to happen. When people complain about it, their lives seem to be destroyed by a mob. They're called bigots. It is peculiar. And I mean, even if you have an ounce of curiosity in you, you're going to say, why is this happening? What is this phenomenon? Now, I wondered about this for a long time. I thought that there was probably a political incentive behind it, and we discovered ESG. And we discovered that there is a political incentive behind this. There's a new program that was created during the Obama administration, wherein the Department of Labor incentivized your employers to actually invest some of your 401k, some of your investment and retirement funds, invest that money in not just companies that are profitable, but in companies that are actually left-leaning, companies that can prove they're socially responsible, environmentally responsible in left-wing ways. It's called environmental social governance funding. And you can look it up. Everybody's talking about it right now. It's very strange. So now you've got companies saying, you mean we can receive investment dollars? We can get involved in this kind of crony shareholding here. If we just prove every single year, if we can demonstrate that we've hired more women, more gays, that we put more gays in our movies, more people of color, that is why this is happening. It's incentivized by the government in a way that I don't think people want their retirement funds gambled on incentivizing left-wing agenda. But that's exactly what's happening.
I think companies are always going to do what's in their own self-interest, right? I mean, this is what
it wasn't in their self-interest before. It's artificially in their self-interest because of Obama's Department of Labor back in 2016. Just look up ESG. Look it up. Read about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do research on it for sure. I mean,
so that's why all of this is happening. That's why us complaining about it. That's why I kind of backed away from the Fandom Menace, because I thought if we could just say this isn't good, like this just isn't good, and people are complaining, and the market forces should work if we protest, if we back away. But no, that's not the way. We can't defeat that. These funds, ESG funds, are coming from BlackRock. This is $32 trillion available to be invested in these corporations that don't even have to sell a comic book. They don't have to sell you a comic book. They're getting your retirement funding. So whether you buy their comics or not, they're still getting your money. Does that seem fair to you? And that's what we're up against. That's why I'm Comicsgate. That's why I am Fandom Menace. That's why I'm opposing these people. That's why I advocate against this stuff every single day. It's not because of racism or bigotry. There's a sinister political motive behind all of this. And I talk about it. I expose it. I think it's important. Now, if you're for that, great. Good. You've got all the advantage in the world. You'd almost be a bully to oppose me. I'm a nobody. I'm David against 16 Goliaths. But I think it's a serious thing. I think a lot of people, when they learn about it, they're alarmed. They don't like it. And Trump tried to overturn it in 2020. Couldn't get it done. We're going to, that's why I'm voting in 2022, 2024 to overturn ESG. It should be illegal. It's sinister.
Interesting. I don't have much. I haven't researched that myself. So
no, I mean, that's the first. I'll be honest, that's the first I've heard of that as well. I mean, so I can't speak much to that either. But it's definitely something with.
I guess it's subjective. I just don't see what you're seeing. Like the changes. Yeah. Most of the stuff that's bad is just bad. Like even I hated The Last Jedi, and I know you did too. That's where you got popular.
Last Jedi was a great movie with a sinister motive.
But I don't really.
That's why it was a really good movie, but it was clearly motivated towards being depressing. It was a depressing.
Yeah.
The next movie, Rise of Skywalker, was actually legitimately shit.
Oh, it's a bad movie. It's horrible.
I thought I hated The Last Jedi until I saw The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, the Rise of Skywalker was a disaster.
I kind of disagree on that, but
I know. Well, let me ask you this, Ethan. In regards to like David Zaslav, like, what do you think he's ultimately trying to accomplish? Because he's a notorious penny pincher. He wants to make profits. I mean, I know some people in the commentary space are saying that he's like anti-woke. Do you agree with that assessment, or do you think he's just more so like he wants to be a smart businessman?
Himself. I just think people are assuming.
Yeah, it's people are worried that he isn't woke. I don't think he's anti-woke. I think he's just an old-fashioned businessman who's good at what he's doing. People are saying you need to be diverse in your hiring. He's saying, no, I'm going to hire. This is what drove him nuts. He said, I'm going to hire the best men for the job. No, best people for the job, quote. And he ended up hiring 6 straight white males. So listen, you're going to hear, he's already lined himself up to become the enemy of the left. He's lined himself up to become the Donald Trump of entertainment. God bless him. I wish him well. What's his plan? He's tens of billions of dollars in debt. His company now that he's owned Warner Brothers, tens of billions of dollars in debt. And he shared that debt with AT&T. There were $152 billion in debt. I don't know how much of that belongs to him. But his job is to make it profitable. And his attitude about everything is to cut costs where he can. He cut Batgirl not just because it was a bad movie, but mostly because it was such a bad movie that he would end up having to invest another $100 million to make this thing that looked like a CW production suitable for worldwide global release. And he might not make all of his money back. So what is the point? Let's just kill it. There's a special loophole because the company's changing hands where he doesn't have to take on that debt with the new company. So he's chosen not to. But the consequence of that is movies like Batgirl and Scoob are getting shelved forever. We're never going to see them unless they're bootlegged. And that's too bad.
Basically like a modern Roger Corman Fantastic Four in a way.
Pretty much, yeah. Like it's just the consequence. As soon as they release it, they're responsible for it, and they can't be responsible for it. So it's gone forever. I feel like what he's going to do, I hope, is he's going to clear the slates of all of the stuff, all of the confused shit that the DCEU was doing before. Start over with what Zack Snyder was trying to do.
Good job.
Max, are you okay?
No, that's his dog, Callie.
Max likes to bark randomly.
Yeah, he just barks randomly when someone's talking.
Just start over again. Just start with Superman. Pretend that it's 1938 and you're releasing Action Comics #1 and you're slowly building out the DC universe as it actually arrived. And I think it'd be great. Sign all of these actors, all these participants to contracts. If you are Superman in the Superman movie, you're Superman everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah. Would you bring back Henry Cavill, or would you just recast and reboot everything if you were in charge?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Henry Cavill. I think he's great. He just had terrible material to work with. But he could be a great Superman under the right circumstances, I think. The question is he aging out a little bit? Does he still want to do this? Does he want to do this?
Well, according to Matt Jarbo and TLC, or not TLC, TMZ, yes, he is. He's too old.
Yeah, I made that joke on Twitter, and it got in a TMZ article.
What was your joke?
Oh, I just said that Henry Cavill's aging out of the role, and people got like really upset.
Superman Day.
He did on Superman Day. He did on Superman Day.
But Superman Day is a corporate fucking thing. It was created for Man of Steel 9 years ago. Henry doesn't even celebrate.
You still did it to troll, though.
Whatever. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did it. I did. Yes. I troll the fuck out of the Snyder fandom all the time. It's funny. I'm sorry.
I'm getting owned in the chat. Thomas Scott goes, I wonder why EVS wants to be back in 1938. Sehr gut. Thomas Scott. Sehr gut.
Jesus.
God damn it.
Why are your fans calling me a Nazi? I just got done saying I'm not one. How dare you?
I think people are just upset that you're here.
Listen, I do hope you have success with Cyberfrog.
Who is saying that somebody supports racists? Like, what is happening? I leave for 5 minutes.
No, the chat's pissed off. I let Ethan on. That's all.
Who cares? For Christ's sake, Ethan is not the Antichrist. Jesus Christ, people. Fucking relax. He's a human being. You don't like his takes. Cool. Stop labeling people shit, bro.
Oh, yes, the only Antichrist here.
Jesus Christ. Ethan's not the Antichrist. Calm down, people. If he was racist, he wouldn't be here with a bunch of people of color, bro.
If anyone in the chat, as far as we've had the channel, we always let people on within reason that we disagree with. You know,
thank you, sweetie. I'll pay your phone bill now, Saggy. No problem.
Everybody needs to stop with the whole labeling people this and that.
Well, I mean, really, what does he have to gain by being here? He's just talking. Well, I mean, I honestly don't see an
literally,
angle.
I'm a nobody with 200 subs.
EBS, why are you here? I don't see an angle for you to profit from views or subs or whatever being here.
Because I like to argue with people who disagree with me. I argue with people. I talk to people who agree with me all day long, and it doesn't strengthen your arguments. You don't get to see what other people are thinking or feeling. You just make assumptions about it, and that's not healthy for a YouTuber who's trying to gain subscribers, which is me. So I want to know what people like you think. I want to try my arguments against you. I want to maybe learn something from you, and hopefully entertain however many people are watching right now.
Okay, we got
YouTube.
Yeah. The important question is though, does Ethan like Morbius?
I didn't watch it. I heard it was terrible, so I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to waste my time. But it looked okay when I saw the trailer. This looks pretty good, and then it turned out to not be good. So,
I have to ask you though, Ethan, too. Have you heard of something? This is a little thing called Chainsaw Man.
It's a manga.
Yeah, it's a manga. It's an anime. Yeah, you heard of Chainsaw Man?
Yeah.
You a fan of it?
Well, I mean, I haven't read it. I looked at it. Somebody showed it to me.
I think it'd be right up your alley.
Oh, yeah, Ethan, we have a friend that is an OG Cyberfrog fan that has no idea what you've been up to since you left DC. He's like, oh yeah, I used to be a friend of. I have the old Cyberfrog comics. He might not be a fan of some of your opinions, but OG Cyberfrog.
Does he not know?
Devin.
Back.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, EBS. He's like, what? You didn't even know what you're up to, or all the whole history.
That's funny.
OG Cyberfrog.
Tell him to back Cyberfrog 2 Wrecked Planet. We're going to print in 2 weeks. Very excited about it. I spent 2 years drawing this 73-page book, writing it. Well, it's actually more like 100 pages with the supplemental book, but I think it's good. I gave it to Mike Barron, who gave it a great review. I gave it to Bill Willingham, who said, this is good, right? And I was like, holy shit. He won like 4 Eisners.
Bill Willingham's a legend, dude.
Yeah, I've given it to a couple of people to review. And the only person I'm afraid of seeing it is Anna, that Star Wars girl, because she always gives me terrible fucking reviews. But everybody who's seen it, she'll be like, I don't know, I got blue balls at the end. Anyway, it's like, oh fuck, I worked 2 years on that.
Her cosplay this year was amazing, by the way. I just had to say that.
She's a fantastic cosplayer. She's great. So, Cyberfrog 2 Wrecked Planet. Matt Jarbo, I hope you'll review it.
I haven't read the first one, so I don't read a lot of comic books. I really don't, but I will. But I have said, as much as I disagree with a lot of the politics of Comicsgate, I respect the hustle for taking it directly to the consumer. So I can't. I can't argue with any of that.
We have to read this comment from Pete saying, "Is the gent at the center bottom using neurotic school photo as an avatar?"
Wait, what?
Ouch.
Wait.
I guess they think.
Hold on, sir. I've never done meth.
Oh, come on. That's not cool. That's the one thing I respect about Gary is that he's
done meth.
Past. No, that he admits what's happened to him in his past, and that he's trying to be better.
Gary, you don't have to like these guys. I completely understand. If Gary has some kind of
Gary and I will never get along. Never get along.
Well, here's where's where I've reached. I completely
I just don't like
from the artist. And if you, Ethan, can provide something that's better quality and better value to the consumer, I will buy from anybody. That's where I'm at.
I think I really like Cyberfrog. Max, I hope you do, because I mean it's a good story with a good message about family, about surviving, about how to fix things that are terribly, terribly broken. And I think that's what Cyberfrog 2 Wrecked Planet's about. It's also about finding out. Actually, it's a little bit about this situation right here, where you actually confront your enemy and find out what they think.
I'm not your enemy. I don't hate you. I
hope not. I don't hate you.
We have to hate Ethan because the chat hates him.
I don't really hate
racist.
Yeah, the audience wants us to hate him, so we have to.
I love how people have to challenge black people and how we feel about white people that they think are racist. I think the irony of that, y'all are gonna tell a black woman how to feel about a person you think are racist. Okay.
I'm also a Latino man, so
I never knew
this. Black man.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
how dare a black woman not hate the white man you hate? How dare I? You guys are something else sometimes, chat. I love y'all, but sometimes you guys are something else.
So Caden just shared this. Is actually just breaking great for this. Warner Brothers Discovery has took an $825 million tax write-off from films and TV series that were canceled since the merger. This does not include Batgirl and Scoop Holiday Hunt, which will be included in the Q3 filings.
Fucking
So what
awesome.
else got? So what does that mean?
Batwoman, all the CW shows that got canceled.
Yeah, it's not
Oh,
that
so that's
much.
part of the old one. Okay.
Yeah.
It's really not that much if you really think
Well-
about what it costs to make a film. But good, that's
I
a
mean,
start.
if you remember when it was announced all these CW shows were being canceled, they were all being written off as a tax.
Well, Figure Drawing really wants me to ask this. You know, I think he is intolerant of some progressive politics and ideas.
So what? So's half the country.
Well, that
I don't
he
think
hasn't done anything illegal. No, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. And okay, so I don't like that. I do think he's a little
Ethan
bit
doesn't
ignorant of
have the
certain
same
ideas.
opinions I do. He's a bigot.
But he hasn't so
I-
far. He hasn't done anything illegal, or
Look, I
he's
have a problem
expressing
with
his-
people's ideas. I don't have a problem with anybody's skin color or gender. Well, I do have the two-spirit bullshit and all that nonsense can go fuck itself. I'm not using anyone's weirdo pronouns. I'm just not.
Yeah, I think that's like it's really not. I saw your one thing about Ezra. They're coming for they them. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, no, he's clearly like he's not even queer. Like there's something wrong with him. He's with kids, which is strange. But no, he's a he. That's a he, and he's hiding.
Well, but if you know, see, that's why people think you're bigoted, though. If you know that's what he wants, if you know it's what they want. I know it is difficult sometimes. I mess up the pronouns all the time. But if you try, people aren't going to cancel you if you try. But you're obstinate that you do not want to do it. And it's
No,
nonsense.
I won't. I will do it sometimes. In some cases,
Okay.
like a criminal who wants to confuse people, like Ezra Miller, I believe is. I'm not going to play his game. Having said that, I am a minister who marries trans people and have performed weddings for them.
Okay.
So it's like it's not like I have trouble with people. I care about people. I love people. I just don't like certain ideas. I think some ideas are poisonous for society. I think a lot of those ideas are progressive. And that's I'm not saying that some of them aren't conservative. I believe racism is poisonous for society. It's intolerable. I don't like it.
Okay.
But there's some things I don't like.
Did my mic unplug? Hold on. Can you hear me okay?
I'm back. I think you're fine. No, but the Ezra situation, I mean, that's just a fucking mess.
At some point, you just go, like, dude, like, no, you're mentally ill and you're crazy and you're probably dangerous. And I'm not going to pretend like I owe you respect or this is what I want to be called. You can go to jail as soon as possible. You can go to jail.
He really hasn't. Ezra hasn't had his day in court where
Well, he did until.
But but there's still a lot of
July 12th. Yeah, but we didn't hear anything
still,
about it.
could we still give Ezra the benefit of the doubt? EBS, let it play out.
There's a lot of stuff you don't know that's going on, Ethan. But I'll let everyone think.
There have been some stalker fans that have made up some stuff about Ezra for sure. We do know that for sure.
What do you mean, Saggy? What do you think?
She's interviewed some.
Yeah, she's been at the forefront of this whole.
I've literally been covering this for like months now, so there's a lot.
Yeah, if anybody, she's been the one following it the closest. She's really done
videos?
some investigations into this.
Yeah, I made a bunch of videos and streams. The last stream I did was like a recap of all the information. Like, it's a lot. Like, I'm gonna lie to you, Ethan. It is a mess, and it's a lot, but it's not as what people think it is. There's just a lot of people that are literally like the current accusations definitely are all just a smear campaign.
You're kidding me. My dad knows the Native American family that was saying, give our daughter back. My dad knows them personally. And I talked about it once. I said, what is this story? My dad called me up. He said, don't talk about that again. And I said, why not? He's like, because it's 180 degrees different than what the media is saying. I was like, holy shit. You want to tell me more? And he says, can't tell you any more than that. Just trust me.
Yeah, well, it started with one of Ezra Miller's stalkers of 6 years who admitted stalking. She contacted Rolling Stone with some crazy accusations of her own. Then she went to Chase Ionize with these grooming accusations, and then the rest is history. All these people are all connected, talking to each other. I even contacted them under a spoof account email, and they just gave me without even vetting me. I lied and was like, "Yeah, I was in Hawaii and I witnessed what happened. I want to contact Rolling Stone." Boom, got an email right away. Didn't even ask questions like, "Here, contact Rolling Stone." It's literally just them trying to smear and cancel Ezra, and it's gross. But yeah, I do have a stream I did covering a lot of the
Why would they do
TLDR.
that? What did Ezra do to make people want to cancel him?
It's like they're so
Well-
obsessed with him. They
Well,
want
so the woman-
Ezra's attention. It seems
Right,
like.
the women are doing it because they're obsessed and they want to, because Ezra is polygamous, so Ezra has multiple partners. These women want to be the one, and because they're not, now it's like vengeance. You know how bitches be. And the Iron Eyes just want their kid back. That's an understandable want, but they're going about the wrong way. Where now they're just entertaining the slander and defamation. So those accusations are 100% BS. There's plenty of evidence that has been put out there that literally just prove a lot of the stuff they're saying. Even the girl who's been stalking him confessed she started this and showed receipts that she contacted all of these people. So it's like, why the media is ignoring this and not seeing it is wild to me.
That's weird. That's great information. Thanks. Let me think about that.
Yeah, I'll send you everything. Well, I can send you as much as you want. It's a lot of information. I'm still siphoning through a lot of it, but I can send you some of the key things if you really are interested in that side of the story.
I have my theory. See, I made a video and I just said, look, I don't know. I haven't made my big Ezra Miller video yet because I can't even wrap my brain around it. It just seems scary as fuck. But what I said was I said, this is if I could be David Zaslav's consigliere for just a minute. I mean, it's like, dude, if you're going to put the Flash movie out, you better put it out tomorrow. Like, put it out as soon as possible. You wait a year, you're going to do it next summer? Like, this guy's a ticking time bomb. Like, he's going to do something, he's going to do something drastic that's going to put him in the history books by the time you release that Flash movie. And I get it. You spent $200 million. It's getting good reviews from people who've seen it. You want to recoup your money, do it, but do it now. It's not going to be as pleasant as this next year. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is all a conspiracy. I don't know. How would I know?
I'll send you some stuff that I know. If you want it in email, just let me know. My DMs are open on Twitter, and I'll send you what I can, and then you can decide for yourself. I mean, that's what I tell everyone to do is look at what I'm talking about, see what I'm showing, and then decide for yourself if you think that something's not wrong with the situation, because there's a lot wrong with the situation.
Well, I would also be remiss if I didn't bring this up. I don't know, Charbel, you're a fan of Viewer Anon, right?
I do like Viewer Anon, yeah.
Well, he was tweeting about the Walter Hamada situation, right? And he mentioned something really interesting. I know EVS has his thoughts on the Jeff Johns stuff with Ray Fisher, but this is interesting. In regards to Hamada, he says, so initially says, Walter Hamada has always been described to me as one of the good ones, someone who cares for people who work with and for him. He only took the DC job in the first place because James Wan wanted someone who had his back. I don't think it would be a good thing for him to leave Warner Brothers. And what about his involvement in the Ray Fisher situation? I mean, it's all hearsay, but I've been told more than once that Hamada was one of the last voices defending Fisher at the studio until Fisher personally called him out on Twitter. And apparently Walter Hamada was one of the people campaigning for Ray to stay in The Flash. So I don't know what that's all about. I don't know, EVS. What do you think about the whole Ray Fisher thing in regards to Jeff Johns and Walter Hamada?
I think Ray Fisher's a soldier of Zack Snyder's who is acting on his orders. And is deliberately choosing to use SJW tactics to hurt, cancel culture tactics to get back at the people who push Zack Snyder out. And I know Jeff Johns was directly involved in all that stuff because Jeff and I have had conversations about the DCU and how it should look and all this stuff. And I'm sure he despised Zack Snyder's movies. I'm positive the reports that I've heard of him complaining about the darkness and ugliness and depression of those movies, that sounds just like the Jeff I knew. His job is a ridiculous job. His job was to make the Hollywood, versions of DC properties as much like the comic book versions as possible. How do you do that? How does a comic book guy go up against all these big Hollywood egos? That's why he's so despised over there. But I mean, he told Zack Snyder, like, hey, could you lighten it up a little bit? Zack Snyder's like, fuck you. So
clearly there's just complete creative differences in regards to like tone, especially.
Yeah. And by the way, Jeff's still there. I mean, they love Jeff. They don't, he
he's
lost
working on the
his
TV
job.
stuff now, isn't he?
Yeah, he lost his job.
Yeah, he's TV guy now with Berlanti.
Yeah, but he's not going anywhere. They'll keep him around.
No, they'll keep. Yeah.
So I just hear this stuff like Jeff Johns is a racist, and I'm like, see, I mean, it's like, I know Jeff Johns. He's a liberal. Like, he's not a racist, dude. And what it was that, from what I understand, what happened with him and Ray Fisher was, Jeff sat down with Ray to talk about Cyborg, and he's like, Jeff is like, dude, all right, here's your character. Like, okay, so like you were blown to pieces, and then just your head and rib cage, they've reassembled you. Ray Fisher actually said to him, so does he still have his dick? And Jeff goes, I don't think so. And he goes, what do you think the black community is going to say when they find out that the first DCU black superhero has no penis? And Jeff was like, I don't think they're going to care. And Ray Fisher's like, so you're going to tell me what the black community is going to think about this dickless superhero that I'm portraying? We better make it clear that he has his fucking cock. So that was the whole thing where Jeff started to become racist in his eyes. I mean, Jeff was like actually stunned by that. Like, what do you mean? Like, the character has existed all this time. Nobody's ever asked about his penis before. I'm being hit with it now. I don't think he has his dick. He was just a rib cage and a head. So what a shithead. And Jeff is like, it's one thing to actually call out racist, something to call out racism, but Jeff was, his first wife was black. Like, he's just not that guy, man. He just isn't. So when I see that, I go, yeah, there's some evil here.
Well, that's an exclusive, because we never heard that part of it. That conversation.
No, I've never heard of that either.
So that is kind of that's. Oh, I missed that one.
Ray told that story. That came straight from Ray.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I completely forgot about that whole thing. I thought it was more like, because I think didn't Ray take issue too with the fact that like they compared Cyborg to like Quasimodo or something?
Yeah.
Jeff. Yeah, Jeff said, I think of him like Quasimodo. Jeff talks like that. Jeff tries to put images in your head so that you'll draw, or I guess act the way he wants you to act. So yeah, he was like, just think of like the sadness of Quasimodo, like permanently disfigured. And Ray's
even though I'm a Snyder and a Ray Fisher fan, or I never went along with the try to cancellation on Twitter for Jeff. Like, I don't know the man. I was critical of some of the things that I heard, but I just didn't have the context there. And I do also, even though I like Ray, I do have issues to wait. I think he's gone too far, definitely.
Yeah, let me read this real quick. Rational Skeptic for $5. Thank you, Rational, saying they should have replaced Keaton with Affleck on Batgirl reshoots, and they should have released Batgirl in theaters. The fans would have gone to watch it. I don't know. I mean, listen, I think
we'll never know.
We're never going to know, first off. And also, too, I don't think Zaslav wanted to put more money into the movie. I think he just looked at it and said,
even though
it's fine. We don't need this.
I think it's funny about the whole thing. So the first test screening of Batgirl tested the same as the first Shazam and the second Shazam and it. And he said, and then Zaslav yesterday on the earnings call, he said that Shazam is great. And then, but is saying that Batgirl isn't cinematic enough, even though testing.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I love the first Shazam, so I think David F. Sandberg's probably going to deliver something really cool with that sequel.
Yeah, I do too. I like the Shazam movies. Or at least the first one in the trailer looked great too.
Yeah. Oh, I got to ask too, Ethan. What do you think of The Rock and Black Adam?
I was just thinking that RJ because of Matt.
He looks just like Black Adam. I mean, it's like he looks just like the character. So.
Well, do you agree with Matt Jarbo, though, that The Rock is not a movie star and that the movie will not make a lot of money or whatever? What is it, Matt?
I gave it a generous estimate of $650 worldwide. That was my estimate.
Yeah, Yeah, I could agree with that because first of all, no, Rock is a big star. I don't know if you just confine it to not a movie star. I think he is.
Well, no, I agree that he is like the biggest entertainer
But he
in the
thinks
world.
that he's not as big as people think he is.
No, people put this, they really put him on this pedestal. I've gone and looked at the box office data going back to like, what was it? The Rundown in 2003, right? His 1st starring role, or 2000. Yeah. And talking about that, and like most of his non-franchise films have really settled around the $400 million range. And even like, you look at something like Red Notice, Red Notice, that was the biggest movie coming out from Netflix in that last year, $200 million budget. And they put it in theaters a week before. They put it in 400 Cinemark auditoriums, which is not much, but still. And The Rock was pushing it on social media, and it made such little money that Netflix didn't even report that data to any of the services like Rentrax or whatever, because they had four-walled it essentially. And but when Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead came out a few months prior, and Cinemark had it in theaters, they reported earnings of about $781,000 for the opening weekend of that movie. So it didn't muster more than a couple 100,000, I think. And yeah, it blew up on Netflix, but still, Rock is out there going like, check out my movie in theaters, and like nobody went to go see it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, first of all, like, you and I know, but who's Black Adam? Like that people don't care. Like DC can't even get Superman right, and they're putting out Black Adam like as the lead character, and it doesn't make any sense. So I think just on that level alone, it's not. You might be generous in what you're imagining it's going to earn. I just don't think it's going to do that well.
RJ believes that with the inclusion of Dr. Fate and Hawkman and the JSA.
No. Let me clarify. What I said was that when The Rock is part of an ensemble cast like Fast and Furious or Jumanji, when he's part of an ensemble, they typically do better. And I think you got other superheroes in there with the JSA, plus the promise of Henry Cavill potentially, or some kind of Superman cameo. I think it'll help that movie a bit. Rational for $2 saying, guys, do you think the Cavill and Affleck are staying? I have no clue. I mean, listen, I would like for Henry Cavill to stay. I don't know, though. Ben Affleck, I don't know. Ben Affleck is weird because he replaced Keaton in that Aquaman post-credit scene. So he's going to be in Aquaman 2, and it was going to be Michael Keaton. So literally anything can happen, but I know Matt thinks it means nothing. So,
well, again, when's the last time that Pierce Brosnan has brought a crowd? Bond and
it's
his
Pierce
last
Brosnan, man.
His last tenure as Bond ended in 2002. With Die Another Day.
Yeah, but listen, all the aunties,
years.
all the women, all the older women are going to show up for
all
Pierce
the aunties.
Brosnan.
Oh my God, dude, trust me. Like they're not gray pubes ain't gonna be flush. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna happen, right? No one's gonna be parting that Dead Sea. Okay, it's. I like maybe
listen. The Rock and Pierce Brosnan are going to attract the MILFs. I'm telling you.
Well, geez, it's like saying, the Rock is over 50, so there's that. Gotta be getting in there somehow. Like I think The Rock will. I think Black Adam with a decent enough advertising campaign will pull in some people. It had a great show at Comic-Con, in my opinion. It really did. I thought the trailer was a lot of fun.
But it got undercut by Cavill.
It got undercut by the rumor that Cavill might be there, and people took that as truth, as gospel, and and then also thinking about the idea that he might pop up in the movie. And if he doesn't pop up in the movie, then people are gonna be disappointed with that. Well, I thought Cavill was I was told Cavill was gonna be in the movie. And then the word of mouth is going to be bad, and it's going to tank in its second week. Like, that's the thing. They need to set that record straight right now. Because we got a few months till the film comes out. The movie is done, locked in. We know it. And, if they don't have him in there, then let us know now so that way people can get prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the hope. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I will not stand highly by a Trevor besmirch the good name of Remington Steele.
I'm not, dude. I love Remington Steele. I love Pierce Brosnan. Okay, like he's a great actor. But it's like, You know, what was the last movie I saw with Pierce Brosnan in theaters? It was that one with Greg
There's that one with
Kinnear.
No, there's the one with Jackie Chan that came out.
The Foreigner? Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
The
didn't see that
Foreigner,
one.
yeah.
I mean, the last one I went to go see with Pierce Brosnan in theaters was he was a hitman.
Hey, and don't forget the classic Mamma Mia.
Why the fuck would I go see Mamma Mia in theaters? Don't get me wrong, I love ABBA, okay, but like,
I know, I'm
good.
joking around.
It's been 20 years since James Bond. I think that's another factor. So,
yeah,
the Thomas Crown Affair was 97, that dude Vince, and it was a good movie. I preferred the Brosnan reboot of the Thomas Crown Affair to the Steve McQueen.
Really?
Yeah. Because as soon as I saw the Thomas Crown Affair, and then I went out and I rented the original, and while Steve McQueen and was it Faye Dunaway did good in the movie, I just felt that it wasn't as poppy, like as fresh as as Pierce Brosnan and what was it? God, Rene Russo. I gotta watch that again. Have you ever seen that one, Ethan? The Pierce Brosnan Thomas Crown Affair?
No, I never did.
It's a fun one. Dennis Leary's in it as a FBI agent. Like Rene Russo, Pierce Brosnan. It's a good movie.
Oh, by the way, I need to watch. Yeah, what's up?
If I can interrupt your stream a little bit, even while EVS is here, because one of the things he really promotes is independent creators. One of my friends on YouTube, which I'm going to be interviewing in like 20 minutes, just released their single. If anyone would be so kind as to give a share anywhere you can, to get they're only at 100 views, but their track is amazing. They Dancing with Ghosts. They make their own music videos, their own music. They do everything themselves, and they're an independent creator, and they released their track today. So that's while there's so many people watching. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, you're dude. This is your channel. I just make content for it. So you pay my bills, so it's all good. I don't care.
Help the independent people. That's what EVS is about. You know, some other things too, but you love.
That's the majority of my time. Yeah.
Speaking of it, I need to watch Prey. I know, Matt, you watch Prey. Do you like Prey?
Yes, I did. Prey was great.
I've heard nothing but really good things. I'm debating if I want to watch it in English or the Comanche dub.
I would argue I watched it in English because I got to it late last night and I was tired, and I feel like the main actress was really good, but like some of her delivery felt a little modernized, in the way that she spoke. But I do want to see it in Comanche. I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah, I'll probably watch like Bro Dancing. I'll probably watch in English first, and I'll watch in Comanche.
Yeah.
If I want to
well, because maybe it was weird for me, but like they're all in English, but there's a whole bunch of like French trappers. You see them in the trailer.
Yeah,
and they all speak in French, and there's no subtitles. At least for me, there was no subtitles. Now, it didn't stop me from understanding what they were getting at. And I kind of enjoyed the aspect of not knowing what they were saying, because it was the main girl's her point of view. So she's not going to understand them. So why would we understand them? And either way, man, that fucking movie was awesome.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I really want to see it. Yeah, I know. I got to watch.
No, that's right. My guest is a little bit late. They're running late. So they're getting home from work too.
Oh, okay. Really forget that. Okay.
So we're okay.
Yeah.
They still haven't arrived in the other StreamYard link.
Yeah. Well, Ethan, while we have you, I'll ask you too. What have you been watching lately? You interested in anything going on in the world of Marvel, the MCU?
No, I don't watch. Yeah, I will not watch anything Marvel or Disney. I'm full on. I did before. I enjoyed watching the Star Wars stuff, but the Gina Carano situation was to me intolerable. It was just
Well, listen. We may have different thoughts on that, but I at least applaud you for being consistent, because a lot of people who said they were going to boycott Disney never actually did. They would review the Marvel Disney Plus shows. So I at least applaud you for the consistency with that, because a lot of people didn't stick to that. So.
Yeah, it's tough because I got a kid who wants to watch and enjoy Disney stuff. We just don't do that. We try to find alternatives.
Oh, you're really that strict? You're really that hardcore about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not giving them any money while they're.
Oh wow.
While they not just fired Gina Carano, they canceled her. They sent her packing and called her abhorrent and made it so she couldn't work again.
She got a job right away. I disagree with that statement.
Matt, with the Daily Wire.
With the okay, hold on though. They made her.
I'll leave.
They made her. Well, have you seen Terror on the Prairie? Because I actually did watch Terror on the Prairie.
Yeah, I did watch it. I reviewed it.
It was like, what'd you think? Because I thought it was like okay. She was bad.
No, I thought it was great. And by the way, Nick Searcy was a fucking revelation. I thought it was a good movie.
He was good as a bad guy. He was. I liked him in Justified when he was on there. And I will say this, as far as the politics thing go, he wasn't invited back to the Justified reboot because they're doing like a limited show right now with that, and they didn't invite him back, and I think it's because of his politics. And I'm like I don't agree with his politics, but I think he's a fine actor. So
this is the thing that's going on. I mean, Voltaire's like, she did it to herself. She did not want to keep her mouth shut. Well, Voltaire, let's switch things around and let's put Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, and let's put those guys in charge of who gets to decide what person has to keep their mouth shut in order to keep their job. And we'll see how you like that. We'll see if you like having it so that liberals and leftists are not allowed to speak out, and the things that they say, are considered to be hate crimes, exactly like we're treated. And we'll see how that is. If only one side of the aisle is allowed to speak and still keep their job, because only one side is in power. We'll see if you like that. To me, I think it's unfair. I think it's intolerable. So I'm not going to give Disney my money. I know that every studio, every corporation leans to the left. I understand that, and I was ready to play ball. But there's that, and then there's also Disney had the absolute audacity to oppose DeSantis's anti-grooming bill against the wishes of the people. No entertainment corporation should be doing that. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. No, at that point, I just said, I'm out with Disney. I'm just out. I can't, until there's a drastic change. Bob Chapek has to go, and they need to apologize for Gina Carano in order for at least me. I'm just one person. I understand that. But in order for me to at least feel good.
So you're not a fan of Bob Chapek, I would take it.
No, I think he's a coward, a ridiculous coward and a clown.
I think we all agree on that one.
Yeah.
But the thing with Carano though, it's like, look, I can agree with you to a point. But it's either way, look, entertainment is at will employment. Every state's fucking at will employment. When you're told, like, hey, right now, maybe not the best time to get into these antics. And it wasn't even just like, because it starts with the whole trans thing, the pronoun thing. Okay, fine, whatever. It's and then like she blocked me on Twitter because she was going off about election fraud nonsense in Pennsylvania, and I correctly explained to her.
Half of the country believes that. Half of
the
you're wrong, so you're not allowed.
No,
to
I didn't say she was wrong. I literally explained to her how the vote counting worked, because that's how it was voted on by a Republican-led legislature in the state.
I completely understand. That election was stolen fair and square, thanks to some changes in the rules.
Sure, okay. I mean, Kari Lake in Arizona just had the same thing happen to her, but no one's up in arms about election fraud down there.
There's something interesting going on down there, too.
Well, there's some weird shit in Arizona. But yeah, anyway, I mean, the whole point, though, is that like she just went on this massive blocking spree with anyone out there who even politely disagreed with her. And that only then amplified the situation at a very tumultuous time. What did it for me personally was when there was that post about the Jews in World War II. And I'm like, look, I get the fucking sentiment. I'm not an idiot. But now...
Well, what's the sentiment? What do you mean?
The sentiment there is like, it's like when they come for me sort of thing.
No.
Right?
No,
that's basically... That's
not what she was saying. People were saying, it was hilarious to listen to SJWs and the left condemn Gina Carano for minimalizing the Holocaust when they've spent the last 6 years calling Republicans Nazis. That made me laugh. But what Gina Carano was actually saying in that tweet that she retweeted, she didn't write it. They were saying the Nazis had it easier because the Nazi government was able to turn neighbors against neighbors. And that's how things like the Holocaust happen. That's where they begin. When the government and the media work simultaneously to turn you against your neighbor for any reason, whether it's religion, sex, politics, whatever it is, that makes things like the Holocaust possible. Now, you tell me where you disagree with that, and you tell me how you don't see that happening right now around us every single day. We can't even talk to each other. I'm in here and there's a full-fledged panic going on in the chat because I disagree with the theme of this channel. What Gina was saying was the media and the government has done a damn good job taking people, Americans, people all over the world who used to be able to disagree agreeably and turned us into hating each other. So we couldn't even stomach each other's physical presence. And when they're finished doing something like that, when they're able to have done something like that, something horrible, they're going to be able to do something absolutely terrible. They wouldn't have been able to do the Holocaust if it wasn't for the Nazis making their neighbors hate the Jews and point them out and sell them out.
But do you not think, though, that with events like Charlottesville and with events like the January 6th riot that have very strong undertones
the
in
January
regards to
6th riot?
well, insurrection.
Matt,
It is. It's very
Matt, it's hard for like a Republican to hear that and not laugh, considering what we witnessed happen.
Sure, what you witnessed happen.
Administration.
Well, that doesn't. But it's still It does.
The right
hold
gets
on.
a little rowdy. And
gets
says
a little rowdy. Okay,
election's been
yeah. It's
stolen and
more
walks
than
into
a little rowdy on this one. As we again,
what was set on fire? What exactly really went wrong? I mean, what was the real problem? People walked into the people's house. Some of them got
by
out of
breaking
line.
Those pushing down barricades,
people,
attacking officers, pepper
we
spraying
just
officers,
watched-
carrying handguns into the Capitol.
We spent 4 years. We spent 4 years watching the left burn cities to the ground.
We
on
saw
TV,
one
while the media
of that happening.
told us that this was just a regular protest. Now, which is it? I mean, are we allowed to have a regular protest, or are we?
But see, I think you're being dishonest on that.
I think. Well, there's also you have opportunists who went into those protests and took opportunity to do.
Case in point, Minnesota, for example, there was a police station that was burned. Found out that was a Boogaloo Boy. That was not BLM Antifa protester. That was a Boogaloo Boy who was running an op. I mean, there are multiple examples of these situations that have taken place. Do I agree? Like, I'm from Portland, Oregon. That's my home city. Do you think I enjoyed as a former Oregonian watching that shit take place every single night? Hell no. I thought it was embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing.
So you agree with what Gina Carano retweeted then?
No, I don't agree with it because I believe that a lot of what we see is pushed by people out there who are grifting off of it and making more money off of it than trying to buy.
What are those people?
Who are those? Like people? Alex Jones, for example. I think you've got a lot of dishonesty coming out from, again, both camps. We talked about this before.
So you're saying Alex Jones, and I would just sit there and say CNN and MSNBC.
Sure.
That pump poisonous political bilge into the bloodstream of Americans.
But Fox, I mean,
Americans.
Do you not think, though, that Fox calling everyone a commie or a socialist, or they're coming for your children? Although, I mean,
but Matt,
it's constant with that side.
See, Gina Carano isn't saying Fox are the good guys, and she's saying the American people are the good guys, and we're being run amok against each other by these forces.
If that's your interpretation,
you and I can list both sides, and we can say we can agree. Are not the American people run amok at this point? Don't you feel this culture, this static, this hatred, this stress that's in the air every single day that wasn't there before?
I think it's always been there, but I think it's been amplified over 20 years. I think it's always been there, right? I mean, you can't argue with certain aspects that are very systemic to our own culture. I mean, times have changed. We have changed. We have grown. We've also regressed in certain ways. I do think that we have a very large problem with accountability in our culture on all sides. Right. Certain people out there don't want to argue. Like, look, we can talk about
accountability. Ray Fisher just tweeted.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Thank you for the segue, Matt. Walter Amada feigning outrage and pretending to quit a job he knows he's being replaced at is quite a vibe. Accountability is greater than entertainment.
What a piece of shit.
We know A over E is a fucking bullshit lie anyway. So,
Matt, come on. We made peace, man.
No, accountability. Okay, Jesus Christ. Look. When I don't care if it's joking or not joking, if you're putting $100 bounty on somebody to go after Hamada or Jeff Johns in an interview, that to me is not accountable over your actions. When an article comes out you may not like and you immediately attack the author of that by trying to spread duplicitous bullshit in the case of over fucking declined a comment versus didn't respond. Fine, that's one angle of it, but that was the next day, not the first day, which was like, oh, Zach never said this, when her implications in the article were very much what she interpreted them to be, and Ray obfuscating on that in order to run fucking defense for Zach. The fact that June 26th, 2020 was when Zack Snyder reportedly had threatened Jeff Johns and John Berg while on the Warner Brother lot. 5 days later, here comes Ray Fisher with these accusations. Look, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that there's been some corroboration over this. Because look, Ethan, you and I agree on this point, but just to kind of further bring it home, don't you think it's a little fucking weird that like when they sign these deals to get this movie made, there's $70 million being injected into finishing up the Snyder Cut, for all of a sudden one of its core actors to come out and attack the studio? Isn't that a little bit just unprecedented?
It's yeah, dude. Listen. What can I tell you? The whole thing is bizarre beyond belief. But
it's just weird. I mean, look, I liken myself a person who pays the fuck attention. Okay, I have my takes, obviously, but when it comes to this, I talk about accountability on everything. I really mean it. I think, like, everyone out there has an agenda. Everyone out there has a narrative, and it's a lot of confirmation bias. I do think having more conversations is probably the best course of action, but having like legitimate open conversations and not running with gotchas. And that is difficult to do in this day and age. Like I debated Jeremy on this channel a few months ago, Geeks and Gamers. And I was hammering him with just question after question, because he kept trying to deflect because he doesn't want to actually have that honest conversation about where things are, And I feel like if you want to actually see change, there's got to be willingness to have those conversations. I think on the left, there's a lot when it comes to identity politics that ends up being overused and overplayed for the sake of just getting clickbait. Like, for example, I was reading yesterday that the CDC has quietly updated their website to talk about the effects of puberty blockers. And I'm like, that should be more talked about, because that's something that, like, as a parent, I'm as liberal as they fucking come. And I'm like, look, if either one of my daughters decides that they want to transition, I'm entirely okay with that. That's their choice. But I won't sign off on anything like that until they're 18. They can make that choice themselves. I feel like bodily autonomy is something that we should respect. I also feel the same way about circumcision. Circumcision is male genital mutilation. There's no question about that in my mind. The child has no say on the matter, right? Is that fair? No. The parents make that choice, and that's fucked up. That's my weird rant about that, but
no, you're fine. Yeah,
I'm just saying
penises.
Right.
I'm just saying I think that's my take on it. Like, that's my take on it as just like as a guy and as a parent and everything else.
I mean, listen, I think at the end of the day, because I do want to wrap this up, because I got to make some dinner for the family. But I appreciate that we all had a conversation, even if some things kind of like we may disagree on with politics and Gina Carano and all this. I'm glad we could at least have a conversation that was peaceful and I think productive, regardless if some people may be mad that we had it, I guess. But do you guys have any final thoughts on the DC and Zaslav thing before we end this?
No, it's great, man. Zaslav is right now, he's positioned himself to ignore the pressure from all the lobbying groups that are based on race and based on ethnicity and gender and all this nonsense. He looks like he really honestly wants to try to put out good product, hire the best people for the job. And I admire him. I think he's been tremendously successful. That's why he is where he is. And there's going to be a lot of pain, I'm afraid. I'm already wondering. I mean, look, what's going on at DC Comics? Very quiet over there.
Yeah, I really think that DC Comics is going to get the axe. Not the axe. I think it's going to get butchered. But I would not be shocked if DC stops being a publisher and license out its characters to a different publisher. I would not be shocked if that happens.
Something's going to happen, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's just everybody's quiet, and they got axed from San Diego Comic-Con this year. Look, I'm worried. I no matter what, I mean, I still love that company. I worked there for 20 years. I put in time. I created a lot of characters over there that I want to see remain in use. And I want the best for them. I want the best for that company. But yeah, they've got to, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, you got anything you want to say?
I do think that
will EVS be on Hollywood After Dark?
I would probably get slaughtered by my own audience, but I'm not against having conversations. I'm really not. I think my audience understands that, you know, they know where I'm at politically. They know where I go off on things politically. And I'm not against having an alternative viewpoint on at all. Like, I would be open to having a conversation with anybody, provided we can at least operate on the levels of honesty. That's how I view it, at least. You know, because it is.
So I would just lie my ass off, and then.
Well, you could lie your ass off, but you know, and then again, I would do whatever I could to come prepared on a conversation, to have alternative talking points, you know, designed to keep. I think, you know, and I'm good at that. Like, I do pay attention to a lot of shit, but I also have my own thoughts and opinions about, like, let's say the left, that I'm not a big fan of. And I don't say it as often as I want, because I deal with the same shit everyone else does. Like, the left loves to cancel their own, you know, and that part sucks. That's where, like, honestly, no, the Republicans, man, they hardly ever cancel their own. Doesn't matter. You know, I get it. But I look personally on the Zaslav thing. I feel he has done more to damage talent relations, which is going to be very difficult to regain that trust. But I feel if he's trying to do
odd that he got one of the biggest talent relations person, Alan Horn, as an advisor, but then he's like,
well,
F that.
My thought is, because I think this Batgirl thing happened like last month.
It happened before.
It happened a while ago. Yeah. What I think happened is just it was not supposed to come out the way that it did. And that was the biggest issue. It's an optics thing, right? So, but so Alan Horn will smooth things over.
I wonder if it was supposed to be in the earnings call rather than public before.
No, I think they were just going to write it down and be quiet about it. If you look at the article that came out, you know, 825 million in write-downs from last quarter. You know,
CNN what was plus TBS and TNT and
yeah.
Well, I mean,
all
that's
those
the
things.
bigger story. The DC stuff is not even that interesting. I mean, CNN is where the real changes are going to happen.
CNN Plus got the axe like pretty much as soon as
the very first thing to get the axe.
That was bad. I mean, it was. But I'll tell you this though, like, look, nobody I know watches CNN. Like, no one on the left actually watches CNN. Like, I don't even know who the fuck watches CNN. The ratings are terrible. You know, and so it's like the CNN Plus thing was one of the stupidest things. Even with,
it was so weird.
It was well, what it was is, again, it was Keelar working in my opinion, working underneath the direction of the AT&T board. That's like, we need content we can put into HBO Max in order to, again, bolster out the AT&T subscriptions, is what I think. They were, you know, it all boiled down to telecom stuff.
That's what his job was, to make that streaming shit work. CNN's going to be interesting. David Zaslav's got a guy out there right now, Washington, D.C., apologizing to every Republican lawmaker he can find. Just like, hey, we know we've been assholes on CNN. Sorry about Don Lemon. Really sorry about that Stelter guy. Will you come back? We're going to change our ways. So, you know, I like everything that Zaslav has said about it. He just said, look, we're not here. CNN was here to chase the ratings before, and they became a joke. They became a clown show. He's like, we need to be a journalistic outlet that just is watched by people who respect themselves. And it's like, whoa, what a great thing to say. So he's going to make some changes there too, hopefully.
If they can get rid of the opinions and start bringing in actual journalists to run those primetime slots, it'd be a lot better.
I think he actually did make a comment about that. I had to go looking for it.
And then you'll never hear anything about January 6th ever again. That big fucking FBI glowy hoax that everybody's pretending to be upset about.
No, the only person
we're not getting that again. No.
I think Baked Alaska
and the cops there. Baked Alaska can go to. That's funny though. You knew.
I know Baked Alaska. So I was watching the reports, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, I know that fucking guy. Shit.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like, that asshole went into Nancy Pelosi's office and was like, got on the phone and shit. I mean, go to jail. You know what I mean? Like, all the people who are actually breaking shit and stuff, go to jail. The rest of the people who were just like, we made it inside. We did it. I watched a whole video of them kind of parading around, like looking in awe at being inside their nation's capital. Hey, you're allowed in there. You know, you're allowed in there. You just have to get permission from your local lawmaker. That's a tour. those people didn't do anything wrong. They were protesting. They did nothing wrong. And there's a lot of peculiar shit regarding the FBI, regarding weirdos who actually prompted them to go inside. We're seeing a little bit
are you
of
talking
that.
about that? Was that guy Ray Epps? Is that his name? Is that
Who
you're talking
the
about?
fuck was that?
That's
what
a
was
weirdo.
that?
That guy was kind of crazy. What I want to know more of is who planted the pipe bombs at the DNC. That's
The
kind
DNC,
of been so.
I would guess.
There's been some rumors about who they think did it, like some woman who did it based upon shoes. I don't know. I saw something floating around.
Thomas
I
Scott,
do-
no cops
real
died.
quick,
One individual died. One cop died of a heart attack later on, and everything else is a lie. One person died on the scene, and it was a protester. She was a girl who was told to stand down, and she's like, "No, I'm going to keep going," with a gun in her face, and she got shot and killed. And it
Well, she
basically
dove through
sobered everyone up.
here's the crazy thing about that. Her and I went to the same high school.
Oh, you
She was a
knew
couple
her?
years younger than me. I didn't know her, but like I heard Lakeside, California, and I went, oh shit, that makes sense. Yeah.
Hans for a $2 super chat to end this stream says there is no news, only advertisements.
Wow.
All right, this stream did not go the way I was anticipating whatsoever, but this was interesting.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. I want to thank you for letting me come in. I know you didn't have to, but I really wanted to talk to Matt.
Yeah, no, of course. I appreciate you. I'll be honest. I thought this was going to be way off the rails, but I think that for the most part, I think we had a pretty good conversation about the topic at hand and died into a little of the controversial stuff too. But I think honestly,
Yeah, but when it wasn't controversial, we didn't fight. So
yeah, no, there was no fighting or yelling.
That's why
we can disagree, but we didn't fight.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
There's a difference between disagreeing and fighting.
Hey, Matt, what do you think of Star Wars? I think it sucks. So do I. All right, so
moving on, right?
Yeah, it's like the January 6th stuff was actually fun to talk about.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it was interesting.
Politics are a funny thing.
Politics.
That's kind of like the only thing I really miss out of the whole like not doing Mundane Matt anymore is like I do miss the politics because I watch a lot of it and it's fun to fight sometimes. It really is.
Yeah. Well, I think
back Mundane Matt.
No, fuck that shit's dead. Dude. Let it die. I don't need to I don't need that shit in my life anymore. Yeah, like I'm much happier just talking true crime on TikTok.
Keemstar to accuse him of squatting again. So.
Oh God!
I didn't even tell the FBI he did it.
I know.
I told him we got this. It's a whole fucking conversation on that one. Keemstar likes to just run his mouth, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, he is.
All right, let's end the fucking stream. I know I do want to get some goddamn food.
Thank y'all for watching. And peace the heck out.